official Riot Games Squad Ripped EMEA Championship.
Everybody round, we know we get hype. Everybody round, everybody round.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Last Chance Playoffs. We are in the lower bracket. Stuart is joining me to hopefully make sense of whatever the hell is happening today, because it's a fiesta kind of day. It's your birthday. We get to have the fiesta. What do you think about that series?
It was, I mean, I said to Mario, it was a very, very messy game. I think there was a lot of limit testing happening in that game for Team Dark. I think individually they were just the stronger opponents. I think going into it, you already said as well that Team Dark were just better individually. And it showed as well. They can pick pretty much whatever they want to. Ari Dura lane, your Dragon lane just playing Alistar for 2 games in a row. It doesn't really matter. Team Dark were able to come out on top in the end.
Yeah, Team Dark managed to take the lead from... I was so wondering why I had music in my headset. Happy birthday, Stuart.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Good fun. Good fun.
The beat from that. This took a wild turn off that. I'm so glad you didn't make me sing it. Happy Birthday is such a hard song to sing. And I know Carmeline and I would have given it a go, but I think my side of that I would have let the side down quite spectacularly. I guess your birthday present was Keys getting a triple kill. Keys got a triple kill. That's good for you, right, Stuart? Okay, let's get back on track. Carmeline has some key points for us as we head towards Revenant and Control.
Hey, I'm back with some key points as the caster said, and the first one is the Battle of the Underdogs. Both Control and Revenant went into their respective series, well, not being exactly the favorites, right? Like, people were voting more for the enemy team, and reasonably so. However, today they have to face each other, and I'm telling you, this one is going to be epic because we've never seen this matchup before. We don't know how it's going to work. We don't know who's going to come out victorious. The performance this day was kind of so hopefully today they'll be able to fix it. Now, moving on to my second point, and it's another very important one, is the return of the AP carries. We've been seeing that consistently. I mean, AP carries are abundant as well, but finally, champions like Tristana, Israel are getting back to the Rift, and I couldn't be prouder of that. We'll see if again this happens during the series, but I'm convinced it can and it will happen. And finally, my last point is about pocket picks. We've seen Tristana being played from Control side, we've seen Diana, we've seen Wukong's in the jungle. So if there are any teams that can bring out the weirdest, most pocket picks out of them all, are these two. So will we be seeing that during these games? I hope so. For now, I'm going to leave you back to the casters, Harris and Stuart. Bye-bye.
Right, let's get into this one. I'm thinking this might be a little bit closer of a series between Control and Revenant. I mean, Control looked really good yesterday, actually, from the games that we saw, partly because I think Formulation were a little bit off the game from where we've come to expect them from. Let's run down the lineups on the left side, or blue side. Revenant, we've seen them under the name of Felian before. Kage, Arrogance, 0-2, Baige, and Mei. On Control side of the Rift, it's Sanjurin, Ryder, Zito, Kakuzen, Jash, and Kamulta. So a couple of changes to the Control lineup, but they seem to fit in quite well yesterday.
I think both these teams honestly performed really, really well yesterday. Revenant against Viv Esports and also Control against Formulation. Both of them quite surprised me, to be fair. Yeah. I thought going into yesterday, I thought, okay, Viv and Formulation are just going to wipe them off the face of the map. But they actually made it really, really competitive. Both of them series yesterday ended up 2-1. I think, as you said, the series is going to be a lot closer than our previous game. Honestly, even though I voted for Control and I wanted Control to win, I honestly think Revenant as well has looked really, really strong. And I think it's going to be it's going to be down to all them pocket picks, like Carmeline said, because some of these teams have picked up some interesting picks coming into the new meta.
I totally agree. I think as we head into picks and bans, there's one pick I'm not so sure I want to see from Bygate, and that was the Corki. Yesterday wasn't super sold on it. The packages were not really what we've seen from players like Redemption, who have favored the Corki. Always feel like I have to compare. I know it sucks to compare players apples to apples like that, but nevertheless, I mean, we kind of have to. That's our job. Olaf banned out here, so we didn't see any Olaf priority in the last game, and I feel like part of that was because Team Dark went, well, we're going to ban Lulu, and then you're not really going to have anything to play it with other than Yuumi, so...
The Lulu ban was interesting in the last series. I have to admit, it was really, really interesting. I mean, you're just denying away the Olaf, but there is still the actually, I was about to say there's still Yuumi available. Yeah. Actually, Yumi's disabled at the moment, as far as I'm aware. If I remember that Yuumi is disabled, I think there's a bug at the moment. I'll have to get confirmation on that, but that's maybe why
Yi is still enabled. There's something fishy going on there.
Yeah, somehow for some reason Yumi's been disabled, but Master Yi is still dashing away. But I think Master Yi is a very hard picking competitive, to be fair, because you still can counter him really, really easy with crowd control and a very coordinated team. But going through these bans, nothing too crazy happening. Xin Zhao, even though we've seen him rise up a little bit more, especially in the ban phase, I believe it hasn't even won a game yet. I think it maybe might have won like one or two games or something. Oh yeah, sorry, they just won the last game. Yeah, but I think over the last few days we've been seeing a lot of Xin Zhao, but hasn't had the success rate as maybe what teams are expecting from this champion. But again, not really anything too crazy in the bans. Fiora is still up and available. Galio, which has not been that high priority, but Corki, interesting enough, first pick. Hopefully won't be the Black Eva Leandries that we saw in game number 1 today.
Oh dear. Okay, we'll see. We'll track the build. Fiora, as you said, possibly the pick here for control. Graves is up too. We've seen a lot of high priority on Graves. We've seen it both in the lane and in the jungle. Komoto's Thresh is the same level of priority from yesterday. Komoto really buying into the Thresh hype. It does, of course, allow them to play that Varus down in the bottom lane. This gives them that escape. So full bottom lane priority for this draft so far.
It was the same with yesterday, really, with control. Like you said, the Thresh priority was so high. They really want to get Komoto on this comfort pick, even though he was missing quite a few hooks yesterday, I have to admit. His hooks weren't landing as much. But again, like you said, it allows you to play that immobile carry in the duo lane, with Jarvan being picked up as well. Thresh is, great into Jarvan as well, because you'll be able to lantern away anyone that is stuck inside of the Cataclysm. So a little bit difficult, but even if that, lantern is down, the Jarvan will still be able to try and jump onto the Varus.
I like this because yesterday I think the game's Revenant looked best. I think they even won with the Jarvan game. I think they looked just way more active, way more, competent at playing the aggressive playstyle, if I'm recalling the game correctly. So I like that they opt into it. I mean, Jarvan is certainly not the highest priority jungler. We generally don't see him without a ton of bans, and I feel like there are some strong junglers still left available with the Fiora. We've also got like the Kha'Zix that we've seen people play, but I think it fits the play style of what Revenant have had some success with, and I think that totally makes sense.
Yeah, the Jax is available, and that's going to be picked up for the side of control. So most likely played in the jungle, can be played in the Baron lane as well. But yeah, interesting that the Jarvan is such a high priority, and Kha'Zix hasn't even been picked at all really over these last few days as well. So interesting, that's kind of fallen out of the meta. But these teams have not had a long time to kind of practice new picks on the new meta. So they're still sticking with their guns, the Thresh, the Varus, Jax, etc. Even though the builds are slightly changed with the likes of Divine Sunderer coming into the fray, the Death Dance changes as well. So the item builds have slightly changed, but the picks have pretty much stayed exactly the same.
No, I'm going to get banned out. That's some of that long-range engage or disengage, whichever way you look at it, to try and set up the Jarvan a little bit easier. Orianna taken off the board, but that would have been a mid-lane Orianna. I feel like, was it Control that played that yesterday? We definitely had, I think it was Orianna Tristana they played in yesterday's series that made it through. So interesting that Kagu is drawing Orianna bans that we don't normally see once that AD carry is picked up in the bottom lane.
Yeah, I think just denying AP damage away from control because they have the Jax, they have the Varus. You're just
Diana
denying picks away. Yeah, I was
going
to mention Dinah as well. Dinah, I think, has to be banned away here for Revenant. And if it isn't, I wouldn't be surprised if it gets picked up by control as well. But
I think the other side is Ari,
yeah,
right? Like if you go Ari here, because you have to blind pick something, unless you want to opt for that Jace knowing it's top lane, you could do that. But I think that Jax, I mean, we rarely see Jax top lane, but you'd be giving away some flexibility in the draft if you don't pick something that can go mid lane from here.
Yeah, you can want to leave that flexibility of Jax being able to go Baron lane or the jungle. So most likely will be a mid lane pick here as well. But then at the same time, you don't really need to deny away a pick. And it is going to be Wukong, interesting enough. So I believe it was Control yesterday that played Wukong jungle,
I think so, yeah.
if I'm not mistaken. So this could be Wukong jungle, Jax top. I honestly think Wukong is quite strong at the moment because of the healing that he gets, mainly in the Baron lane, but with all the healing he gets from the first ability. And now with Divine Sundra in the game as well, you get so much healing from your first ability with Wukong. It's just a great team fight champion, even though it got a few changes quite a few patches ago and hasn't really seen too much into the meta. Interesting enough, Janna being picked up. I think Mei likes the Enchanter supports down in the support. We've seen Mei play Nami, Janna, all these Enchanters. So not really a aggressive, a Rakan player or Thresh player or anything like that. So a bit of disengage, which is going to be really, really good, against the likes of Jax, Wukong, and Thresh that wants to dive in, and Akali as well. So probably going to be mid lane Akali, top lane Jace, if I was to predict that one out.
Looks like it for now, and that kind of gives them the ability to dash around team fights. A lot of long-range damage, and then Jarvan and Akali to go in and kind of finish the fight. But, I mean, not a particularly tanky lineup. Like, Jarvan doesn't get that tanky from the jungle. Janna, of course, will have shields, but I wonder where Control go from here. If you pick something that has, like, an Ari would be able to deal damage to most of these picks. Ooh. Twisted Fate. Okay, North America play a ton of Twisted Fate. TF, of course, his Destiny is going to reveal Akali in the Shroud. That's one thing you can do. And we're seeing teams play to the side lane a whole lot more than we were. And if Jax is pushing on a side lane, you have a TF come in with a gold card loaded, the target's going to die pretty much every single time. So this is about empowering the side lane picks and playing towards your side lanes and away from your AD carry.
Yeah, it's really, really interesting because you have the kind of utility champions when it comes to like Twisted Fate with the gold card, Varus with the ultimate, which they don't do massive amount of damage, and you have the Wukong as well, which doesn't really do a lot of damage as well. So you're kind of really putting the everything in the Jax basket, I feel like, for Control, especially like you said with the side lanes as well. Jax is probably going to be going like Divine Sundra, Hullbreaker as well. If it is Baron lane Jax, it might be Baron lane Wukong as well. They still do have that flexibility going into the game, but very, very interesting. Like you said, Twisted Fate really, really popular in North America as this kind of utility mid lane mage that can go into the side lanes, and kind of get advantages in the other lanes instead of mid lane by itself.
Yeah, I've been waiting to see whether European players would pick it up because it's a very selfless pick. Like it's very much so like I'm not playing for myself, I'm playing for my teammates. And I think the thing that helps Control in this draft is Wukong ultimates can be used defensively. Thresh Lantern is going to be there for Varus. Varus ult can be used defensively. So there's a world in which Revenant struggle to fight the Varus Wukong Thresh pack that will be kind of holding on the mid lane as TF goes over to the side lane. So interesting draft, very different. This is a little bit more about what we were expecting about playing for side lanes, and Control have thrown us something a little different. I'm looking forward to seeing how this game plays out.
I think Control are playing with a sub. I think it's Kamaris in the Baron lane, which, if I remember, Kamaris, if I'm not mistaken, played in the Origin series last year. I can't remember who he played for. I'm honestly going to have to look it up after this. But yeah, it looks like he's going to bring out the Wukong in the Baron lane. So no Sanji today, so we'll have to maybe get some confirmation from someone to see what's going on in that situation. But yeah, so it's going to be Wukong in the Baron lane. Grassy, I'm dying. Most likely going to be going for Divine Sundra as well. So again, Wukong in the Baron lane is just all about healing with the first ability, all about staying in fights for as long as possible, and just brings out so much crowd control as well.
Yeah, extra crowd control there, as we've talked about, can be disengaged, can be engaged. Now, as we kind of see how that impacts the game, I think that's going to be really interesting because we're expecting to want to play towards the Jax, as now that the Jax, that responsibility is going to be on Ryder Zito, which at least should give them a little bit more familiarity, if that makes sense. Like whenever you're playing one of these coordinated compositions, like having a sub really breaks the usual coordination. Kamalto now caught out in the jungle, in the river, having to back himself away, and of course that meant Jash had to back away from the bot lane. So Control giving a little bit of room over to Revenant to start this one out.
Yeah, they wanted to try and just stop Arrogance from taking the Scuttle Crab, but you can see that both junglers are looking to invade. It's actually Ryder Zito that's going to be able to take the blue buff, and Arrogance is a bit slow on this play, to be fair. I think he has the smite available, should be able to easily smite this away. He does, and he will be able to easily escape as well. So Arrogance not realizing the play was there, not realizing that he could go over to his own blue buff. So that means that it's going to be a 3 buff start really for Ryder Zito, which on this Jax you want to try and get ahead early. You want to try and get as much farm as you can.
Yeah, we'll see how he farms up. We'll see where his build goes as well. Like Jax has traditionally been, Triforce, play the Rune King. Mm-hmm. We haven't seen a whole lot of Jax since the changes, but like we have 2 other items that can be in the mix. Like could be Divine Sundra, could be Hellbreaker. We'll see with Kamalto putting a lot of damage out onto Baigay with Jash there. That didn't really get traded back either.
Yeah, Jash is having quite a nice time, to be fair. Obviously played Baron lane in the WREC before, and now is back in the dual lane. He did play dual lane before. He did play up in the Baron lane, so back on his more preferred role, you could say. But yeah, I mean, like you said with Jax, with the new items as well, I think he benefits quite a lot with the new items. I don't think he's going to go Hullbreaker this game, just because he's playing in the jungle and he wants to roam around with his team, so he won't be able to get that extra benefit from Hullbreaker. But yeah, I think Divine Sundra he might go into if he feels like he needs a little bit more tankiness, as Arrogance is going in, but not going to use the Cataclysm just yet, because then that won't be up and available for the Dragon. But yeah, Blade of Rune King first item is still the same for Jax. You still go for that extra attack speed early on with the lifesteal, and it's a great first item power spike as well for Jax. But yeah, afterwards it kind of depends, do you want to have more damage and do you want to be more of a carry? Then you can go for Trinity Force. If you want to be a little bit more tanky, get some heals, then you can go for Divine Sundra.
Yeah, Chains of Corruption lands there, Piercing Arrow as well. No first blood on this map yet, but Jash is trying to buy the time. He's got the charge up. Can he snipe it? Doesn't even go for May. Puts the damage down onto Baigay, as that will be at least the recalls forced out. Now Rift Herald's going to be pushed through, or at least attempted from Control. Arrogance is on the bottom side taking Dragon at the same time, and I mean they have the Destiny available to know exactly where everybody is. That's where it's going to go. Kagu not going to invest the gate part yet. We'll go to the bottom side. Oh, okay, they're going to cheat rotate the mid lane play. So what Kagu does there is he runs at mid, uses that for vision, knows the handshaking anyway, and goes, all right, I'll just push that bot.
Yeah, it's a way that Twisted Fate can be used. You don't need to use that Destiny to play aggressive, and actually it's going to be Control trying to 3-man tower dive Akaji. He's in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, Ryder Zito dodges out on the tower aggro, puts enough damage down onto the tower. Ooh, Akage's dropping low, not enough to pick up the kill, but Josh showing why Varus is still strong right now in this early game phase.
Yeah, interestingly enough, Arrogance and pretty much everyone on the side of Revenant weren't able to kind of trade objectives, trade the towers. Normally, that's what you see. You normally see like, okay, Control are going to take the Baron lane tower. They're just going to use that Rift Herald. And normally you see like, okay, the other team's going to try and push out mid lane, push out the dual lane instead, but they tried to defend it instead. And honestly, it didn't really work out for Revenant. So a nice early game goal lead so far for Control. And you can see it is Divine Sundra first for Calamaris in the Baron lane on Wukong. Sometimes you see Black Cleaver as the first item just because the item is just really, really strong. But maybe going to use that as the second item. 0-2.
Lands 0-2. Now there's no Destiny available to reveal from the Shroud. That hook lands as well. Piercing Arrow as Kamalto locks the fate of 0-2, and first blood goes to Control.
Really nice play by Control, and honestly, they're just rotating around the map better at the moment than Revenant. Revenant are just a little bit slow on the plays, and Control, they're just like, okay, we're just going to stay grouped in this game. We're just going to be able to rotate around the map and get the picks across the map. And now they have 2 towers already. And again, Revenant are just nowhere really. They're trying to take the Baron Lane tower, but now with Clemaris and Komoto here, they're not going to be able to take it, and that's twice now. Oh, that's twice now that Control has been able to just utilize the rotations that they're doing so well as a team. And Revenant, they're a little bit all over the place at the moment.
Yeah, they haven't been able to find their start in this game, and 3,500 gold is the lead basically for Control. One thing I want to take note of is we don't see a lot of Twisted Fate, so I think the opportunities to talk about the weaknesses of the champion are pretty valid. He's a champion like Orianna that when he's playing in the solo lane, if he has no flash, he's very vulnerable. Kagu's held his flash on 2 engages from Arrogance and waited for the Cataclysm, and Arrogance has never thrown it in, which means he's never under the threat. That's a good hook that lands from Komoto, but they don't go aggressive from it. And I just think that that's a really important thing, is like Kagu is playing this very composed, which is something that we don't always come to say. That's just an easy pickup. They get a kill onto Baige and Baige falls.
Yeah, I mean, Kagu's is just using Twisted Fate a little bit more defensively, I guess you could say. But now we're saying that aggressive.
Jax, no shroud allowed, because that's the destiny of 0-2 to go 0-2 in this game.
That's a good one. I enjoyed that one, Stress. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's a multi-layer one. There's a lot in that.
Honestly, I mean, this kind of counter pick really by Kagu is really paying off so far. Being able to, like you said, use that destiny to kind of reveal Akali. So Akali's shroud is one of the most annoying things I think I could say in Wild Rift. Just being able to turn invisible, just being able to dash around during team fights is really difficult to deal with. Unless you have Twisted Fate that could just use the ultimate every single time, even though the cooldown of the destiny is not that short, to be fair, and Shroud is going to be up more than often enough times to be able to use it multiple times. But when you do have the Destiny up and available, you could just use it. You don't actually need to teleport anywhere. You could just use it as more of a defensive tool. And that's what they're doing at the moment. And like you said, 0-2 at the moment is 0-2. And he's very struggling quite a lot. It's going to go for Death Cap as a first item, which you don't really see too much, as you don't really get that much value really from Death Cap as a first item. But right as it now, he's playing a bit more aggressive. I feel like Control are playing a little bit more aggressive as well, as it looks like it's just going to be a trade in objectives for now. Yeah,
they're playing towards the Dragon as Revenant are going to take out the Rift Herald, will fall. So, I mean, they haven't broken mid towers. That is one thing that Twisted Fate is not going to help them with at first, as Clemaris is going to back away after going in. So they're going to play for side lane inner towers before they ever play for mid tower, which is a tricky one to make work. But this is the thing: is this composition plays towards the Jax, and Jax is here. Gold card lands, Counter Strike is flag and dragged away from, and now Control are going to try and make a play through bottom lane. Clemaris pushing through top is going to be able to at least have presence there as Varus goes back to clear out the wave mid. This is where Control might slow down. This is a difficult point to break. If you can't dive Baige, it's basically about warding this area and avoiding hooks. Komoto double flay over the wall off the flash Destiny used is going to allow Kagu to join the fight. They haven't broken the tower though, as Raidazito had to back away. Another hook from Komoto. This time his Thresh is on point as the Wildcards are going to take the last little bit of health. 0-2 is not able to play around this Twisted Fate. Wildcards again does damage. Can they finish off the kills as Komoto is going to block? Flay comes forward, forces the flash out of Baige, and now it's Kagu with the gold card locked. Can't find any targets, but Control still edge out ahead in this fight. He's trying to get it before it expires. Again, the damage comes through. No tower taken from Control, but a fight still going in their favor.
I mentioned a little bit before the game that Komoto wasn't really hitting his hooks last series, but this game he's landing hooks all over the place. Really well played by Komoto. Kind of I'm not too sure if he meant it, but he actually predicted the dash by 0-2, which went back in. We're going to see the replay again. It is Control that are going to try and play aggressive, but the wave clear was there by Corki, and you can see they had to back off because they didn't have minions left. But you can see the hook here. I think he was trying to hook Arrogance, but he actually predicted, I guess in a way, the dash forward by 0-2, and he is gonna fall down as well. Now he's 0-3 now on this Akali, so the pick is definitely not working out. And this is just a back and forth messy exchange as we get into a bit of a ARAM state at the moment as RiderZitto looks to try and make the play again. But you can see, like you said already, they're playing around this Twisted Fate Jax combo, just being able to land them long range gold cards, and then Jax could just follow up afterwards, because Jax could do a lot of damage if he can just get onto a target, and if they're rooted for a short duration. With the Twisted Fate building rapid fire cannon as a third item, that's just going to make things even easier now.
It absolutely will. I mean, a name change is in order. Hook lands, of course, doesn't interrupt as it would do in PC, at least it used to, if you hook someone as they're utilizing Rift Heralds. But the counter-strike is going to just be enough to allow them to take out Rift Herald. Again, no charge from that Rift Herald as Twisted Fate is roaming down from the middle lane. Has Destiny available, so we'll be able to reveal Akali if she were to be in the fight, but isn't here as she was down on the bottom side. So Control just play defensively around middle lane. They deny the play, and at this point now they can just kind of move back to the side lane and utilize this comp again.
Yeah, I mean, they have an over 6,000 goal lead already at 12 minutes into the game. And honestly, you'll just play, passive if you're on the side of Control. Just stay away from that Rift Herald, just being able to deny that away from Revenant. And Revenant are just not finding any
they're loading up
plays.
Destiny. Can't find the start of the fight they were looking for. And that's a red card. That is not what you're looking for. At least with a blue card, you can always be like, yeah, I totally wanted the extra damage. Red card, no one's like, I wanted the little slow and a little bit of AoE.
Was it Scar in PC League that he was
no,
Reginald?
About?
Oh, it was Reginald,
Reggie,
isn't it? I was trying to
blue
think.
card.
Scar was the ward, isn't it? Scar was the one
Scar
over the
ward. I casted in at the Tribush.
Me and Stress going back the years and having a bit
day,
of memories. Yeah.
When Twisted Fate was... here's the tech. Here's the tech. This is 10-year-old tech, decade-old tech. The Messiah, when you play Twisted Fate, in PC, it builds Zhonya's on him anyway. But what you do is you TP in, hit stasis, they burn all their cooldowns on where you're about to appear, and the rest of your team just kill them. That's called a Messiah. We very rarely see it because everybody realizes what it is and how you play around it. But let's see if we get that.
I'm 1 year older now, Stress, so I can feel the ages kicking in. Anyway, back to Wild Rift. We're going to stop talking about PC League as I'm going to get really sad how PC League has turned into an absolute fiesta now, and Wild Rift is the game to go to.
Did you see our last series? Did you see Team Dark playing this game? Because it is night and day compared to like Controller playing for the side lanes really well. This is so composed. To give up 0 kills while playing a game where you're basically only playing for your side lanes on picks is really impressive.
And their gold lead is just getting bigger and bigger as well. We can see it's over a 7,000 gold lead now for Control, and they're just really playing this way again, a little bit more passive than what we're used to seeing. Really, it isn't that sort of fiesta that we saw from the previous game, but like you said, it's just controlled, pun intended, in a way, and they're able to just close out not close out the game, but they're able to just play out this game really, really well. And the scary thing is, though, for Control, is that as this game gets later and later, all it really takes is one fight from Revenant, and then the tables can just be turned just like that. That's how crazy Wild Rift is as a game, is even though you can be in control of the entire game, and they have been for 15 minutes into this game, all it takes is one team fight for Revenant to come back into this game, and they'll be able to take Baron, they'll be able to take towers, and their gold lead will just shrink really, really heavily.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I mean, this Corki, although it's 0 and 1, it's 3 items, and these are 3 pretty strong items as Kaku has to deal with Arrogance being there. Kamalta's on the roam. Ooh, didn't check the bush, so they don't know exactly where Arrogance is. I think he may very well have crossed the crab, though, and that vision would have revealed him before. So, I mean, you're totally right. This lead could evaporate quite quickly at any point. One thing I will notice, that's 3 items of Corki with no boots or boot enchant. So Baige, if he's not got the package, is actually quite susceptible to getting caught out by a gold card, by a counter-strike, something like that, if they can find that to lock. And if there's no Corki, then I think the actual threat in team fights is a whole lot lower.
Yeah, I think that's what you kind of have to look at really in these fights, is going to be Kagu with these gold cards to see who we can pick off as if we even get a team fight, because it looks like Controller just playing a 1v1 scenario where they're just leaving Kamlaris down in the Dura lane, and then when it goes up to the Baron lane as well, it's either going to be RiderZitto or Kagu up there as well. As you can see, the jungle difference at the moment is absolutely huge, which is pretty much most of the gold lead, to be fair, for the side of Control. 3 items now for this Jax as May.
Oh, the
With that
long-range
gold
gold card hits it with the rapid-fire cannon. Kamulta's going to whip the chain back and forth and whip down at the kill. I think Arrogance even showed in bottom lane. So that means it's an easy Baron start right now. It's at least going to force Revenant to react, and remember, Destiny is available. Kamulta's the one tanking this up, and he's just going to say, okay, I'll take this. Destiny comes out. They know exactly where they are. Chains of Corruption don't quite land in the way that they were looking for. Arrogance is going to get taken out. Oh, he's stolen it! No way is he stolen the Baron from that. That should have been so simple. They knew where he was. The damage onto the Baron was just low enough, but it doesn't look like Revenant are going to get anybody out of this alive. They're going to try and desperately get Akagi out, but Akagi just needs to back away from this. He can't be in a position where he's going to drop. They could really utilize that Baron buff minions, and they will get out with one member alive. Control had played this game so well up until this point, but that is a pretty unforgivable mistake.
They just all stopped attacking the Baron. You can see it's 2,000, and Ryder Zito is in the pit, but he's just by himself. And Arrogance is just able to Cataclysm. He's able to smite, but like you said, unfortunately for Revenant, they're not able to get anyone out just because they're so far behind. But that delays Control now. I don't think Control are really going to be able to do anything with the advantage of them getting all of the kills, but with the Elder Dragon coming up, this is where Control have to try and look at it. Now, I've got to feel a little bit worried for Control, even though they've been really playing well throughout this entire game. They're now nearly over 10,000 gold lead now, so it's gone from 6,000, 7,000 now up to 10,000. So they've been increasing the gold lead ever so slightly throughout this game, but all it takes is one smite steal again, one more smite steal by Arrogance to steal away the Elder Dragon. And if they don't win the team fight Control after this Elder Dragon fight, then honestly, it could get scary for Control as well.
This game has been so clean. I'm so sad. That was as simple as either stick the Baron or peel off the Baron. Do one of the two. Don't try and do both, because that is when the steal opens up. As you said, it was 2k health. 2k health means Arrogance can never get in to do enough damage to smite it down. It's just high enough, and then Ryder Zito's the one just like adds 2 more autos to it and allows Arrogance to steal. That's a shame, because I felt like this was one of those games, one of those examples where you're like, Control can just keep edging ahead. They're playing very smart still. Like, Kagu has been hovering topside, waiting to see if anybody pushes, because of course Kagu has like the teleport built into his kit, utilizing Destiny. So he's kind of like de-pushing top slowly without showing too much, because it means that Revenant can't commit to the Elder. Now they're going to see that he's top lane, and that means that Revenant will know that they have the window to enter the river. But still, they've got to be careful that doesn't get pushed down on top side. They're actually going to start this up. That's going to reset. You have to at least be in the pit.
I don't know if this is a correct play really for Revenant.
I don't think so.
They're losing so much. They're using mid wave, they're losing Baron wave, and they could actually just 50-50 this.
As Wukong goes in, Clemens plus the Chains of Corruption is going to deal damage. They haven't brought Kagu over to the fight, though. They haven't utilized it, as Ryder Zito is going to get dropped into his Guardian Angel. Clemara is on the hunt as Akagi and Mei are very low, but that inhibitor is already under threat from this Twisted Fate. Double kill for Jash, and it's going to be the inhib going down. It's opened up the base already, and I think he might just be able to get it. Destiny available for Kagu, so we can see exactly where everybody is if he wants to use it. Doesn't even need it. Lich Bane locked, loaded, and looking to take game 1 for Control. Gold card is there. That's not going to help you with the Nexus, but Kagu has bought enough time with the inhibitor going down that Control can regroup through top lane and look to close this one out.
Yeah, I think they're going to close this out as well. 20-second death card timers across the board. It's a Kage against pretty much the whole of Control. Destiny comes down as well, and this will be the first game closing out from Control.
And you know what? There was a small road bump of a Baron steal, but from the moment Control made that first play, I feel like Control were the leading team and held it really well. Like I'm impressed by how well they played most of the side lane plays in this game.
Like, it's completely different to what we saw in the first series, where the first series was just like team fight, team fight, team fight. This game, it was just a more slow-paced game, but it was very, very well thought by Control. I have to say, they were playing the sideways very, very well, and the side lanes very well. They got the early advantage with the 2 towers, with the objectives as well, and then they just looked to just rotate around the map, and they were able to make these plays across the map. You could see that pretty much all of these replays are just Revenant getting caught off guard and Control being able to rotate around the map and make the plays. And even though it was only like 4 kills at like 10 minutes in the game, they still had like a 6,000 gold lead, which just shows that they were just playing the sideways better. They had the experience lead, they had the gold lead as well. And when you have control of the map, you can make plays like Komoto made there, where May and Revenant have to check the Baron pit. And even though this was kind of a little hiccup, really, the Baron overall is still a great performance.
Yeah, overall, I think we can say that there's a lot of positives to take for Control. One of them, Komoto's Thresh. We saw high priority on it in yesterday's series, but this game, like, he's on fire. Every play either started by or basically finished by Komoto's crowd control and ability to kind of get these fights going.
Yeah, and in the last team fight here, they were just able to easily close out the victory, even in the 4 versus 5 situation. I think the gold lead, they're just way too far ahead. With Clomaris as well, with this tanky Wukong build, landed a 5-man knock-up into the backline as well. And when you have champions like Jax that can jump in as well, Varus can just stay in the backline, use all the poke, and as you can see, they were able to close out the victory. And it was, like you said, a very, very good victory by Control. I was impressed by them yesterday, and I'm even more impressed by them after this first game.
Hold on a minute. Look at the level difference between the jungle. How did Arrogance get a steal when the game ended a few minutes later, 3 levels different? I don't know what it was at the time of that Smite steal, but that shouldn't happen.
That's pretty crazy, but I think that's to do with kind of the XP changes as well. As you can see, Arrogance didn't have a fun time. They prioritized this Jarvan, but honestly, the Jarvan just couldn't really do too much in the early game, because most of the time you see Jarvan as kind of this early game champion where you can use a flag and drag to get around the map to try and make these early gank plays. As you can see by the gold lead, it's just a steady gold lead by Control throughout the whole of this game. And yeah, just the priority on Jarvan didn't really work out. We kind of said in the draft, Jarvan hasn't really been a high priority really in the WREC. And it kind of shows there that it can struggle quite a lot, especially against these champions that have so many dashes and so many ways to escape as well. And even if you are trapped in the Cataclysm, you still have that Thresh Lantern to get away to safety.
Yeah, I think Komoto on the Thresh did a ton of work to kind of keep his team safe, deny a lot of the Jarvan engages that we saw. And it just meant that the Arrogance couldn't actually find any real plays. Whereas yesterday or the day before when we saw the Jarvan, I was like, okay, when they can make plays, it looks pretty good. The Jarvan is actually kind of working for them. But in a game where they can't go aggressive, well, now we've seen the fall off of Jarvan and why we don't see him too much in the meta. We'll have to take a look at the second game of the series and see whether they can actually change the draft up. But first, before we head off, we've got to look at the play of the game and see, I mean, if I was doing play of the game solely, I would probably just pick a really boring play where they push on the side lane and get a kill in the early game. But it's going to be the Elder Dragon fight.
Yeah, the flank here by Clomaris, you can see 5-man knock up into the backline. You have the Chains of Corruption on top of that. And even though they're all stuck in the Cataclysm, and this is actually a 4 versus 5 fight as well for Control, because this whole time Kagu was able to push up in the Baron lane. And yeah, it just shows you how far ahead they were. Look at that, like 14,000 goal lead at this point of the game. Just when you're so far ahead, you can just make these plays. You can make these risky, split push plays. And I think that's kind of what they wanted to do throughout this whole game. They wanted to use the Jax for the side lane, use the Twisted Fate for the side lane as well. And they did that really, really effectively.
That is the play that feels good on Varus, where you snipe the Akali as she's dashing towards you. That's always so satisfying. That was a satisfying game in general, actually. I really enjoyed that one from Control. Very impressive performance in their first win of the series. We'll see if they can close this out 2-0 or whether Revenant will bounce back when we come back from break in a few minutes' time.
Breathe fire, your eyes so bright, the dark will guide us through the night. Bye, bye, my love, I'll shine for you in the dark. Lonely without the sun. It cried for years, an ocean of tears. It's how it's begun. My tribe of stars. I breathe fire. Your eyes so bright. The dark will guide us through the night. Bye bye, my love. I'll shine for you in the dark with my tribe of stars. 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 My tribe of
You ready?
Welcome back to WREC Last Chance Playoffs, where it is last chance for Revenant if they want to come back in this series. It is a 1-0 lead for Control. We're in the lower bracket, and that means they have to win on the side of Revenant if they want to stay in the tournament. Loser goes home, and honestly, don't know when we'll see them again. That sounds really kind of final, but it is final. That's why it's called the Last Chance Qualifiers. Anyway, let's do it. Really solid game out of Control in that first game. What was your biggest takeaway?
Yeah, 100%. It was a really, really interesting game by Control. You can see the change in the roster there. Clamaris is playing in the Baron lane, who I think is who's actually the coach for Control. So the coach coming in to help out Control, and honestly did really, really well on the Wukong in the end. Again, went for this tank Wukong build, which as I mentioned is quite a strong build at the moment, and doing really, really well, especially in the last team fight as well. Was able to do quite a lot in the last team fight around that Elder Dragon, and was able to close out the game. But like you said, really, really strong performance by Control in that first game.
Yeah, very good. Very well played on the sideline. They had a lot of strengths there. And to hear a little bit more about that first game, let's over to wow, English is hard today. Let's head over to Carmeline for her key points of the game.
It's Card here. I'm pleased to know that they've got some key points for you guys for this game, and well, this could be the last game of the series, so let's keep an eye on it. First things that we want to talk about is Scissors Fate. Nothing else to be said. Finally appeared on our WREC license qualifier. We hadn't seen it before, and I'm so glad that it finally made an appearance, because it means that we're getting things from all the regions and finally acknowledging all the types of gameplay. So I want to see more of this. Now, moving on, we need to talk about Control's amazing performance in the last game. It was just so dominant, so consistent. They really need to see more of it in this second game. But please give 0-2 a little bit of breathing space. Like, this game was just not good for him. He would 0-6, 0-7, I can't even remember, but it was so bad. He wasn't given a second to play the way he wanted. So come on, let's make this second game a little more even and more spectacular for our viewers and for ourselves. So that's really it. Back to the casters. Health, Steward, and Stress. Oh my gosh, Health, go home. Bye.
I'll take it as a compliment. I'm not as handsome as Hells, so I'll definitely take that as a compliment. I know Hells is in chat, so he'll get a kick out of that. Okay, so what is going to happen in the second draft? We don't know yet, but I'm glad that we kind of had... I'm glad we had a move towards some new stuff. There's still a lot of the same picks coming up. I think the Twisted Fate's nice, but I don't think that that's a specific thing from the 3.1 meta. We saw a lot of teams in other regions playing it before 3.1. So I'm just interested to see what Control have for us now in the second game.
Maybe they'll try something new. We saw in the last series they picked up Tristana as that traditional AD carry. And if there's one thing I want for this very special day for me, I just want a traditional AD carry. Give me an AD carry. Give me something that I could be excited about, because seeing Corki all the time, I mean, it's interesting that teams are still prioritizing Corki, especially after the Solari Charge Blade changes as well. It's not really an item that you really want to go second on Corki after Manamune, because you don't get that extra 25% crit anymore. Even though the damage has been increased and you can now crit with the extra damage from Solari Charge Blade. Like I said, it's still interesting that teams are just picking up Corki, but I think it's just because of how strong he is at level 5 and just how strong he is when, you know, the first Dragons comes out for the package.
I don't think it's first pick worthy though. I'm just going to say that. Like, first pick Corki is not what I'm looking for from this draft on the side of Revenant. So Revenant are going to be blue side for our second game of the series. We'll see whether they make a change. I think you have to ban Komoto's Thresh, actually. I genuinely think you have to ban it. Like, they high prioritize it to the point where it is first pick on red side for them, so it's clearly a high impact pick. It just had a lot of impact, so get rid of it. Don't let him play it.
Yeah, they had the same yesterday as well, so it'd be interesting to see if Revenant are going to switch up the bans at all. It's going to be the Rakan ban first up before Revenant, so just taking that away, because Rakan is still, Rakan's still quite a strong champion.
It is a strong champion, but you just saw him smash you with Thresh. So, like, yeah, I mean, maybe Control would ban Rakan is the thing. That's why I'm like, Rakan is red side bannable for sure.
The thing is, though, with, like I mentioned in the previous draft, Mei hasn't really been playing these, crazy aggressive champions like Rakan, like Thresh. Mei's been playing more of these enchanters. So I think you just have to deny it away from Komoto, because we've seen Komoto play it. We've seen Komoto play Thresh as well, and there you go. The double ban supports, and I think that's completely fair from Revenant. Just denying that champion pool for Komoto. Maybe we'll see him fall back on the likes of Galio, maybe, Alistar, anything like that as well. But yeah, when you have a support like Mei that doesn't really favor these aggressive, engaged supports and likes to play more enchanters, I feel like that's what you have to do, because if you leave one of them supports open for the side of Control, Komoto's just going to take it away. Yeah,
Komoto's Galio is pretty good. That was that game where we kept seeing him get like 4-man taunts, that kind of thing, that I thought was a very good look for Control. Now we head to the last bans of the round as Revenant. They've banned 2 supports, Controller banned 2 jungles. Kind of shows you exactly where Control think is a strong point. Arrogant struggled on the job, and it's going to be Ziggs banned away. So Gragas may be getting through for the first time maybe all weekend. Part of me feels like Gragas has been banned out in like every single game.
I honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if you're correct with that statement. I think he might have been banned throughout the whole weekend. Interesting enough, Control are banning away Varus, so maybe not prioritizing that for this game, and maybe don't want Revenant to maybe first pick it away from them. But yeah, Gragas is open, Furio's open again if they want to. The team want to pick that up.
Corki's up if open. They want to, considering that they've with Ziggs banned and Varus banned, that is obviously a higher priority. Camille is up, Fiora's up, Gragas up, Jace is up, Set's up, like a lot of big picks up for both teams to pick up. And now Control, there's the Gragas. We were kind of anticipating it. Red side is the strongest position for Gragas because that's a 4-role flex currently. There's something to be said for like whether it goes jungle, how that can perform, considering there were a lot of jungle changes. I know that Gragas should have made his way through without being particularly harmed by a lot of those changes. But the Olaf is going to get picked up. Will this be paired with a Lulu? That's normally where we look for here, because you have to imagine Control will ban it, knowing that Mei is an enchanter support anyway.
Yeah, honestly, I would be surprised if they're going to pick Lulu here as well, to be honest with you. And there you go. There's the Lulu. There's the enchanter support for Mei. So honestly, Revenant have a really strong comp at the moment. They got the Camille for the lockdown. They got the Lulu Olaf combo at the same time. And now if you're on the side of control, you just need more disengage. You just need as much real disengage as possible, to be fair. It's going to be Graves, though. So it might be Graves in the jungle, might be Graves in the Baron lane. A lot of flexibility for the side of control. They do have that Corki, which most likely will go down in that dual lane. But so far, so good for Revenant in this draft. I like the look of Revenant's draft so far.
Yeah, I wonder where they're going to go. I wonder whether they'll continue to ban supports here, because as you said, they need to ban out some of the disengage. Now, disengage supports that remain are like Janna, Nami, Braum. None of them do amazingly well at stopping Olaf, just from the nature of him avoiding crowd control with his Ragnarok. So we kind of have to look at where they're going to go with that. I guess Galio doesn't necessarily disengage, but you can land a taunt to kind of peel rather than disengage. I mean, Control have two junglers that are better than Jarvan already drafted. I don't know that Jarvan is necessary.
Maybe they just ban it away from Arrogance. Just like, yeah, Arrogance, you're not going to pick it this game. And then ban it away from his whole team.
Jarvan is one of the champions that completely screws up Olaf. You just put him in the cage. Put him in the baby cage. And just say, no, you're not running out of this one.
I mean, honestly, and it still might be Control that still have a jungler left to pick, because, you know, it could be Gragas mid, it could be Graves Baron lane. So it is a fair ban, to be fair, because it is kind of that lockdown, like you said, that could deny Olaf, because even though he can't get crowd control, he can't walk through walls. He isn't that crazy when he's when he's using his ultimate. So it's going to be the Dino and the Kali being banned away from Control, so just denying away some of the magic damage away from Revenant, and Yasuo being banned away as well, which is quite an interesting one. So some interesting bans for Revenant, and now I feel like you just pick support here for Control. What do you pick? Maybe Galio, as you mentioned. Komodo has been playing Galio before, but it's kind of fallen out the meta, really. We haven't really seen too much Galio. We did get a change to his ultimate. His base damage went down. It's going to be Nami instead for Komodo. I think this might be the first time we've seen Komodo play Nami, if I'm not mistaken. Honestly, the first time even I've seen Komodo play Nami, because when I even played with Komodo last year, I don't think he played Nami at all. I was kind of expecting Braum here. He's played Braum a few times, but like you said, isn't really that effective against Olaf. And to be honest, most champions are not really that effective against Olaf. And instead, it's going to be
protecting
Revenant.
the Olaf comp. We're protecting the Olaf from here. Unless they bring a scaling carry here, this could be like a Morgana bot lane as well, like a double mage, everything. Oh, you're getting, on your birthday, you're getting a Kai'Sa. So that'll do. There's a scaling carry that also now provides a second threat here. But with Lulu and Galio shielding whoever is the primary carry in these fights, that gives Revenant a lot of options to actually team fight. And I think Control may need to continue to avoid fights and pick up a side lane split push threat potentially with the likes of like a Fiora, a Jax, something like that. Oh, they're going to opt into the team fight. I don't know whether I like that.
Yeah, it's going to be, Darius has said, I would have liked to see Graves in the top lane, to be fair, just go whole breaker and just split push, because like you said, it's going to be really hard for Control to team fight when you have a Galio, the Galio Camille combo, when you have the Olaf running on top of you as well, even Kai'Sa that could jump onto the back line. It's really, really scary, and I honestly really like Revenant's team comp. I think it's going to be mid lane Galio as well, which I was explaining quickly, but basically his ultimate has been changed ever so slightly. His base damage got reduced, but his AP scales actually got increased from the ultimate, so that's why you're most likely going to be seeing more mid lane Galio, not a lot of support Galio, because the base damage is not really there. You can't really go full tank Galio, so a little bit of AP damage, not really a lot of consistent AP damage really on the side of Revenant, so it's going to be a lot of armor being built, I feel like, for the side of Control. But yeah, two very, very different team comps of what we saw in game number one, and I feel like this game is going to play out a lot differently to the first one.
Is it going to be maybe Doom's AP Kai'Sa that I see in tweets from time to time? I doubt it. It's just going to be regular Kai'Sa. But nevertheless, we might see some extra magic damage come out there. Interesting draft. I kind of agree with you. I like what Revenant have brought to the table here. It's got a very, very clear idea of what they want to do. And I think that's where Revenant have looked the best. One aspect that I think they might struggle with is actually getting fights started if Akage is not going very aggressive on the Camille. You basically have to rely on Camille to get this fight going, whereas Control side of things, they have the Nami, they have the Gragas to disengage from it. So maybe there's an opportunity to play around that, as Revenant are on their last life of the tournament. 0-1 down, they're going to need to come back and even up this series if they want to stay in the lower bracket, whereas Control just need 1 win to advance for a showdown in the next round to try and advance to Barcelona.
So 92% Twitch chat, they want Control to win this game. they got some Control fans in the Twitch chat today. Not a lot of Revenant fans, unfortunately. But yeah, it's going to be Galio mid lane. It does have the Aftershock, but most likely will be running a full AP Galio because they need a little bit of AP damage already, trying to trade early on against the Gragas. Interesting enough, Akagi has gone for Grasping Undying in the Baron lane for Camille. You don't really see this too much. You normally see Fleet Footwork just so she can stay in lane for longer, or even Conqueror to get that damage output. But this makes me feel like it's going to be like a Divine Thunderer tank Akali, but wow,
by the Aqua Prism. Baige was trying desperately to hit level 2 and overextended, got caught and forced to lose all of his health. Didn't actually use any summoners though.
Yeah, didn't use any summoners, but that's a really, really low AD carry already. You can see half health now, and it's going to be Jash and Komoto that are going to be able to push out that dragon lane and have control of that dragon lane as well, which means they can try and rotate. They can try and go into maybe the Rift Scuttlers, try and get double Rift Scuttler if they really want to. Talking about Rift Scuttlers, it looks like both the teams are going to be trying to get the top lane one, but Arrogance is level 4.
Yeah, Raiders is only level 3. Will have Kamaris here as Raiders is forced to flash out. Akagi tries to go in, can't quite convert the kill. That's a good apprehend to keep him alive, but now it's first blood. It was the ticking down. Akagi used that ignite, managed to get it, and Arrogance flashes out and can take the crab now for themselves. So Control falling behind on that first play. It's actually Revenant that take first blood.
Arrogance did a 4 jungle clear, 4 camp jungle clear, and Ryder Zito only did a 3 jungle camp clear, and that was the difference between level 3 and level 4 for Arrogance, and now they're going to look to try and take the double Scott as well. Look at this, level 5 for Arrogance and only level 3 for Ryder Zito.
Yeah, has that Ragnarok is now he's running towards Kagu. Kagu tries to body slam his way out of this one. Ryder Zito still only level 3, hasn't been able to get any experience as he's come back immediately into the fight. This time Jash this here as Komoto flash bubble actually does land. May was on the very corner of that as now Komoto with no escape, can't get out. Oh, no way is Arrogance getting out of that. Jash says definitely not as Baige's double knockback from Kagu. They can't quite get the damage to stick though. Does get the kill finally from Kagu's ignite. All that meanwhile, Akagi has been pushing through the top lane, now level 6 on his own. Will get this first plate. Nope, not going to overcommit to it. They'll back themselves away. 2 kills for each side, but it's a gold lead of 1,000 gold over to Revenant.
You know what the crazy thing is about all of that? Rift Scuttler didn't even die. There was a whole fight over Rift Scuttler and it didn't even die. But we're going to look back at it. Komoto, the exhaust from Jash was really good to kind of save Komoto in the end. It looks like Baige was trying so hard to auto-attack Komoto so he could use the ultimate. He used the Kai'Sa ultimate, the Killer Instinct, but instead had to use it defensively, tried to flash away. But with Jash having flashed as well, he was able to flash forward and take up the kill. But like I said, 2 kills apiece at the moment. I have to, kind of have a look at the Baron lane. There's already a 1,000 goal lead for Akagi, and I think Akagi has been performing really, really well. I mean, yesterday as well, solo killed Millip a few times, which even though Millip didn't have the best performance, but yeah, Kagu is just dead.
Yeah, Kagu just dead from that Galio Olaf combination, and that's scary that this Olaf now has 2 kills because Olaf can be that primary carry that we were expecting. Has that Lulu, has the Galio to buy him some time as well. Now all they need is Akagi, who has a lead already to start fights, and I think Control are in a very dire situation.
Yeah, they're struggling already in this situation. I think it's just going to get even worse for Control as this game plays out with Akagi, with the Hextech Ultimatum into the Grand Entrance as well for 0-2, and especially because that AP damage has got buffed as well. If you're going to go full AP Galio, that combo just got even stronger as well. The Grand Entrance from Galio just did like a little bit of extra damage, but yeah, across the board at the moment, Ryder Zito not having a fun time on this Graves jungle pick at the moment. It's currently a level down, and also there's a level down as well for Akagi in the Baron lane, and with the changes to the experience as well, a little bit of a change in patch 3.1 where if you do get ahead, you don't really get punished as much when you're ahead. You get punished a lot more if you fall behind, and that's really not what Control want in this game. They don't want to fall too far behind, because if they do, then the level lead and the extra experience that Revenant are going to be able to get, as we say that Clamaris, wow, this is a tough situation to be in.
The wave is pretty far away, though, so Akagi has to overextend into it as the Rift Herald is going to get spawned. Clamaris tries to get the kill from it, can't quite get it as they juggle the aggro, juggle the damage, and get the first turret from the Rift Herald. So they're able to hold on as mid lane. Oh, that's an aggressive play out of Jash. Control kind of falling apart at this point as they're going to be able to back away. How did Jash and Komoto get away from that? 0-2 did not opt into the fight despite having barrier. I think this game is very rapidly coming up apart at the seams for controllers. Revenant now 4k gold in the lead with a composition that scales very well for these team fights.
Yeah, it took him really scary for Control. Now, somehow no one died in the mid lane. I'll be totally honest, I don't know how that happened. Jash used the package forward. Baige survived on 1 HP. Komoto survived on 1 HP, but they were able to escape anyway. And yeah, you can see the tower dive again, just really well played by Revenant, able to use the Hextech Ultimatum to juggle the tower aggro, and then with the Lulu ultimate on top of the shields was able to survive here. Somehow Baige survived. I honestly have no idea. So many shields, the barrier on top of the kill instinct. So look, it's just one auto attack away, and the same with Komoto as well. And the Q actually missed from 0-2. Honestly, the Q landed on Komoto, might have been able to pick up the kill, but yeah, you can see gold leads across the board. Baron lane 1,500 gold lead. Jungle is about a 1,600 gold lead. It's looking really tough. I mean, Jash does have a little bit of a gold lead on Baige, but that's nothing compared to the rest of the map at the moment.
Yeah, I feel like it's a bit of a draft diff on this game because I feel like Revenant's comp was so clear. And they've played this early game so well that this Darius is the final piece of the puzzle, just opts into teamfights. Like, Darius wants to teamfight, and so do Revenant. So if they can get a pick here, maybe the Control can turn it back around because 0-2 is pushed up. Not having the most amazing series as Darius is going to get the kill. That's a big first pick in that top side for Control. Darius now gets his first kill of the game as Arrogance. That explosive cask is going to try and cut the wave, but there's still a cannon minion there, and that means these picks are going to just rip through that turret. Turrets traded 1 for 1, but it's 3 turrets overall for Revenant in the game so far.
Kagu had to flash there as well to get away, and Arrogance is... Oh, okay, Arrogance had to flash away as well. This is a lot scrappier of a game as what we saw in the first one, not as thought out and not as clean really as the first game, but they can't even get mid-lane tower.
Goes in, they caught right as Zito with the Hextech Ultimatum, and that's how you're going to take out your opponents very swiftly once that Camille goes in. That's what they need to keep doing.
Revenant just being more proactive this game. This is the Revenant that I wanted to see really from the first game. Revenant were just way too passive in the first game. It just allowed Control to move around the map and able to take the small advantages that they got in the early game. But now it's Revenant the ones that are looking to rotate around the map, take the early objectives. They took the first Rift Herald. They were able to take the first tower. They have all 3 out. Not for all 3 outer towers. They have 3 towers taken down, 2 in the Baron lane and 1 down in the duo lane. And Control tried so hard to get their mid lane tower, but they overextended. You can see the combo. If you got a Kage jumping in using that Hextech Ultimatum, you can follow up really easily with Olaf, with the Killer Instinct, with Grand Entrance if you really want to as well. And yeah, like I said, I think this game is going to get from bad to worse from Control if they don't find a way to get back into this game.
Komoto's picked up his lockets of trying to just hold through some of the damage in these early parts of team fights, and if you can somehow get Arrogance out of the fight, maybe you can take it. But Steric's already built on top of that Trinity Force is a pretty strong point for this Olaf to be at individually, and then you pair in the fact that there's a Lulu on top of it, makes it pretty easy for him to stay alive. Oh, right as it's dashed over the wall, doesn't have splash available. That's a one-way trip. Couldn't get the steal off. Tidal Wave thrown into the mix as well as Kagu is trying to put damage down onto 0-2, but Jash is already low, forced back out of the fight as Arrogance throws the axe over the wall. It was a trade onto Baige though, so 1 for 1 as 130 health remains on this mid lane tower, and Control can't quite get it, but they're looking for Arrogance. He's used a lot of his abilities to stay alive, and Arrogance is out of the fight. I think Control should be able to get this mid tower from here. Ooh, Kagu's gonna go in, caught by the Hextech Ultimatum. Turret has fallen though, so no defensive structure there. Finally, they get the kill for that Galio, but 0-2 and the rest of Revenant have overextended throughout that fight. All 5 members of Revenant fell.
Wow, that was a little bit interesting. I think Revenant didn't really need to defend that mid lane tower. I think when it's like 100 health already, you know it's going to go down. You know you're in a disadvantage anyway. It was a 4 versus 3, if I'm not mistaken, because Arrogance here got completely caught out. And when you're caught out as well, really nice apprehend there by Clamaris, able to get the reset on his ultimate. But after this, you just back off.
It here,
yeah,
right?
There's just no need to overextend here. You can see that all of them are half HP as well. Kage actually, jumps back in, apprehend again by Clamaris. So you can see the damage from Jash is there, has the man immune already, is going for the Storm Razors, is going for this crit build, and they're looking to try and get mid lane tower again with this Rift Hold, but they're not going to be able to get it. They did the exact same last game as well.
Yeah, 95 health on it, so it will go down eventually, but Kagu is hunting here as 0-2. That ultimate is available for the heroic entrance. But now it's Control rushing towards mid. They got to be careful they don't overextend here, because this fight would be on an even setting and they actually back themselves away. So they're going to try and opt for an engage here. I mean, if you're Control, you know that mid lane tower is going to fall. At any moment, somebody can run up and take it. So now they have to kind of like play away from it or commit everything into defending it and just hope they don't lose much on the side lane, right?
Oh, look, I mean, there you go. Akage's just going to go in anyway and take it.
Easy enough.
That's how it's done. When it's that low on health, you can just go into the mid lane and take that mid lane tower. And interesting enough, I want to mention the builds very, very quickly. Komoto has gone for Hextech Mega Drive, which got a very interesting change. It was kind of, they called it really a bug fix in a way, quote unquote. But now basically with Hextech Mega Drive, if you land crowd control on multiple units or multiple enemies, the cooldown gets lowered of your active ability. Before, it would only work for one champion, but now if you land multiple, land your crowd control on multiple enemies, the cooldown of your active item will get lowered. So that's why he's gone for the Locket this game, I feel like, because he wants to get the Locket proc as many times as possible. So yeah, really, really interesting item. We haven't really seen it too much. Sometimes it gets picked on Rakan because it's really easy to just use a quickness, use a knock up. Yeah, interesting enough, you can use it on Nami because the bubble and the wave work out really, really well.
Yeah, I was going to ask what the cooldown on the Sega Mega Drive is, but 0-2, he's going to have to cool down for 35 seconds. He's down in the fountain as Control are going to move towards the top side of the map. Oh, apprehend, this is starting to go badly for Revenant. Komoto lands the knock-up. That's the Wild Growth used on the Camille, so that's not going to be available for a team fight. And Arrogance is now maybe caught, playing with fire a little bit, heading towards the rest of Control, but Control are going to back away. Don't get much more than just that one kill.
I think this is a game where it's like, this is not how you play when you're ahead, because Revenant have not done well at all. They're getting caught out across the map. They're getting picked off as well. And look, now the gold lead is nearly in Control's favor from such an early game gold lead, and Revenant played so well in the early game to get that gold lead. And all it took was just a few mistakes from Revenant, and now Control were pretty much back into the game, to be fair. Even though I feel like the scaling is there from Revenant, they still have the Lulu Olaf, they still have the Camille, they still have Kaiser as well, that's going to scale really, really well into the late game. But yeah, this is not clean at all from Revenant, and now it's kind of an even game, really. And now with Control having 2 dragons, they're going to look to try and pick up the 3rd dragon as well. When this Elder Dragon does come up eventually, after a few minutes after the Infernal Dragon does get taken down, you're going to be kind of worried now if you're on the side of Revenant.
Yeah, for sure. Like we came out of the first 8 minutes of this game thinking, all right, Revenant have probably got this game. Like, they're so far ahead that they're going to be able to just walk it through in these team fights. And it was all reliant on Akage actually starting off fights. Now Arrogance is going to take a little bit of damage as he's forced back away from this, but Akage hasn't been able to get fights, partly because Control have denied them fairly well, but also they just haven't been active. And I think that's part of the problem that I've seen with Revenant, is when they're not active, they just don't really contest anything, and they kind of just get taken out. Akage is trying to find an angle into this fight, but Arrogance is going to run in through the front door, up through the top side of River. Bubble doesn't quite land, and we're looking at the bottom side of the fight as Clamaris has found one. It's the dragon going over to Control, as Clamaris is somehow still alive from that. The package is going to do the damage. Doesn't even matter about the stasis. Now it's over to Arrogance, though. If this Olaf can end the fight, maybe there's a world in which Revenant can hold on through this, but Arrogance has already dropped low, and Jash from afar is going to be able to take out the Olaf. It's going to be the ace. Triple kill already for Control, and they have stolen this game back.
Honestly, I honestly don't know what Revenant are doing. I'll be totally honest with you. They've got this perfect team fight, They want to group together, but every single time you see Revenant, they're just completely split. Olaf was trying to take the dragon with Lulu. Then you got 3 members of Revenant who were on the bot side. As we go to the replay as well, you see Arrogance is trying to steal the dragon, but what Arrogance is still trying to steal the dragon, Akage is getting completely caught in the bot side of the map. You can see that Smite still was there in the end, but look, the fight's split. This is not what you want if you're Revenant. You've got Camille, you've got Galio, you've got Kaiser as well. You want to be grouped, especially with this Lulu Olaf, and that's just not what they're doing at the moment. They're completely split, and Control are just like, okay, we're going to group as 5. We're just going to catch out members for Revenant across the map, and that's what they've done this game. They've just been able to caught out members of Revenant off guard. They've not been able to, Revenant have not been able to take advantage of this early goal lead that they have, and now it's Control. They're in full swing.
And I mean this in the nicest way to Dragon Lane carries. This kind of comp is the F the Dragon Lane in fights and all in on Olaf. And just say every shield, every heal, every engage at this point goes to Olaf. And Kaiser, you'll get there, and we'll use it on you eventually. But they've used like the Galio ult split in fights. Like May and Arrogance are on the same page, and the rest of Revenant are on a different page. where everything's going towards the Kaiser, and I'm like, you just all in it on the Olaf. He got a triple kill in that fight. Now, once again, this is Akage getting the Galio ultimate to start this fight out, and now that's the first kill going over. Arrogance is dead because nobody is there to keep him alive. Control are trying to output as much damage as they can. Jash is just going to walk through this fight, but takes a lot of damage on the back end. There's the Guardian Angel procs. Clamaras is going to try and get the execute, doesn't get it. There's the kill. Stasis forced out. 0-2 has managed to survive as Komoto is going to keep Jash alive for a moment longer, and that's in least enough damage. There's no Baron on the table for either team. That went better for Revenant, but still, it's not these clean team fights that you expect to see with this composition.
It was a lot better by Revenant. They used engage from Akage, used 0-2's ultimate on top of that as well, and then Olaf was able to just running by himself. You can see that it started off with Arrogance getting a little bit caught out here, but as the team fight, as the play played out, it was Control that were trying to kind of catch out, I guess, Revenant in a way. You can see they're trying to posture around, and Ryder Zito just overextended a little bit too far, and you can see what happens here. You can see the Camille ultimate on top of the Galio ultimate, and Arrogance jumping in as well was a little bit too far, to be honest. It did get caught out, but after this, it was a good explosive cast by Kagu, but Kagu was just completely split up from the rest of the team, just trying his best to try and go forward and try and get as many kills as he can, but all the shielding, all the healing for Revenant were able to pick up the rest of this team fight, and Komoto couldn't really do too much on the Nami, unfortunately, and was Revenant that came out on top. But like you said, it's still not clean at all. I mean, it still could be anyone's game, even though Revenant do still have their goal lead. But I feel like if Revenant just group up as 5, if they just take it slowly, try and find the engage on one member of Control, they'll be able to easily clean up the rest of these fights.
And Jash is monstrously far ahead. Like this like setting for Jash to be in means that like Control are in a good position from here. I mean, Corky's just going to keep getting stronger and stronger. So is Kaiser. So we do have to still look at what Baige can do here. I wonder, is this the point where they stop all-inning all of the defensive utility on Arrogance and move it to Baige? Because you want to use it basically all on one. And just keep at least your primary carry alive. Or Akage trying to go in.
Yeah, the thing is that Arrogance has gone like full tank as well. Gone Spirit Visage, obviously, just to get as much, magic resistance as possible, but 0-2's caught out. But
yeah, they're trying to burn down the dragon at the same time. They peel off, and Jash is actually caught a little bit, forced to flash away from this one. And oh, that's grouping up is going to be huge with the explosive cask, but they managed to take out the Lulu at the same time. Clamaras is not in this fight as Jash kiting back. Akage tries to find the kill. Akage, does he get it? I believe that's Akage. Yes, took out Jash to start this fight off, and Komoto and Kagu are the only 2 alive as Akage surely can clean this fight up from here. Komoto drops low, caught by the sweep, as Kagu, the only member of Control left, trying to even it out. 0-2 and Akage survive. The death timers is so long that Camille may very well be able to at least take out inhibitors. I wonder whether they can get any more from this.
Yeah, they might be able to end the game. It's 25 seconds for Ryder Zito, 20 seconds for Clamaras. I don't think they can end the game. I think they can just take the inhibitor, and it's going to be a close one, I'll be totally honest with you. But Revenant, they got the team fight that they wanted. The Control grouped up together, and to be honest, they might be able to close this game up. 5 seconds for Clamaras. This might be it.
Clamaris has his flash available, but it's rushing down. Clamaris back in. Can he apprehend and get the decimate? Oh, he flashes the wrong way. Oh, the game closes in favor of Revenant. I don't think it would have been enough anyway. Revenant. Ooh, that looked close to backfiring on them. I thought, coming out of this was a great setup for their draft. Exactly what we expected. Control played into it, but Revenant let it slip in the mid game.
Yeah, the mid game was very, very scary for Revenant. They got the early game gold lead, and when you have a comp like that, you feel like, okay, Revenant have the early game gold lead. They got the scaling as well. They have the Lulu Olaf. They can easily close out this game, but Control did really well to kind of split the fights in a way and catch out Revenant off guard. And you can see that, through these replays, you can see that most of this game was just Control getting picks across the map, and that's what they kind of wanted to do. That was their game plan going into it. If they can catch Revenant off guard, if they can catch Revenant when they're not grouped together, that's when they could take their advantages. And they honestly did really, really well for that. But it was that last team fight, that one last team fight around the Elder Dragon. They were grouped together. Arrogance was able to flash in 0-2 with the ultimate on top of that as well. And when you're grouped against that team comp, it's really, really hard to try and come back for Control.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like Revenant started actually playing that comp again. It's like, hey, if you actually play it how it's meant to do, you will win quite handily in these team fights. And it was still closer perhaps than it should have been from the early game, but I think that's a testament to Control kind of breaking Revenant apart, at least like forcing them to fight in different ways. There were a couple of moments where like Arrogance was caught out on his own, or Baige as well. So we're at a 1-on-1 series, and we've had two different playstyles. We've had Control winning game one, playing purely for the side lane and really advancing their lead like that. And this time, a really heavy, like, protect the carry composition from Revenant being able to come out successful. So really interesting to have different playstyles in this series.
Yeah, we've seen two very different games, to be fair. We've seen, like you say, Control in the first game, just playing the sideways. And this was the last team fight here. Look at that. Control grouped together. The one time, and Kagu was actually completely off guard there, over the other side of the wall. And then after this, they were able to close it out, even though it was really, really close, even though Clamaris in the end tried to flash to try and clear the minion wave to get the extra bonuses on the Nexus, but unfortunately it was enough. But a very, very scrappy game too, even though Revenant did get the early game lead, even though Control were trying to come back. Even in the end here, a 5-for-3 exchange in the end was the difference. And you can see by the stats in the end, Ryder Zito did not have a really, really strong performance. I think right from the get-go, really, where they lost that the Rift Scuttler exchange in the barrel line side of the map. From there on, he was just falling further and further behind.
Yeah, I mean, this composition to me that Control were running, like, I think it is. I feel like it's hard to play Graves into it if you're at all behind, because you've not really got anybody to start a fight, and you don't really want to start a fight, and you've got nobody to play around on the side lane. So it really is only through Revenant making mistakes and taking fights. Yeah, exactly, like this kind of thing is like when Revenant play like a little bit loose and away from their composition, that's what gave Control the opportunity to come back into the game. Whereas, like, I think without it, Control would have really struggled to actually get themselves through with this draft.
And you have to look at, comparing these teams to the rest of the teams in the tournament as well, because all these teams are fighting for the spots in Barcelona, and it's going to be hard for them. If you make them sort of mistakes against the big teams, like Viv, like Rix, then it's really, really hard for you to kind of come back in the situation, because their players are just so strong. But yeah, in the end, it's going to go to a best of three. It's going to go to the third and final game. And honestly, I can't predict this, Stress. I don't know what way this is going to go. I feel like Control have played better overall in this series, but Revenant showing that if they can get the right draft, if they can get the right champions on the right players, they can definitely take that advantage.
Yeah, unfortunately for Control, this seems to happen a bunch, where they win game one, and then from there, it goes a little bit awry. Let's take a look at the play of the game. There were many moments in this game that went back and forth. I think that last fight is certainly going to be one of the ones that really blew it open, as Revenant steadied the ship, got themselves back into this game.
Yeah, they started off with 0-2 actually being completely caught out, but in the end, 0-2 was just completely bait, and a Kage went in, and you can see when you're grouped together with this squad of Revenant, you can't really do much at all for the side of Control. Komoto trying really, really hard to land the bubbles, try and get the heals as much as possible as well. Kagu here using the body slam flash as well, but unfortunately they weren't able to close it out. It was the two solo laners in the end that came out on top, Kage and 0-2, and it's the combo of the ultimates, the Hextech Ultimatum and Galio's ultimate as well, that came out on top. And in the end, Control did really well to stop the team fights, but when it's around the Elder Dragon, you kind of have no choice really. You have to team fight around the Elder Dragon, because if you just give it away, and if you try and split the map, Control didn't have that gold lead that they had in that first game to say, okay, so one of you go into the Baron lane, one of you split push. They had to group up in the end, and that was kind of the downside, really.
Well, we're going to game 3 in this series. One of these teams will be exiting the tournament today. The other will advance through the lower bracket. Let's find out who it is when we come back in 3.5 minutes' time.
You ready?
Welcome back, everybody, to the Last Chance Playoffs. It is the last game of the weekend as Control and Revenant are 1-1 in their series. I am Stress, joined by Stuart for this series. Wow, I mean, that was nearly a throw. And then Revenant managed to kind of hold on to it right before they fumbled the ball and utilize their composition to its strengths of fighting around. I guess in the end, it ended up being Camille that carried the last team fight. So they managed to get the win, put themselves at 1-1. One of these teams is going home today.
That's the crazy part about it, and it all comes down to the last game as well. This is it. This is a last chance really for these two teams. If you win, you're through. If you lose, you're completely out of the tournament. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see what's going to happen in this last game.
Yeah, it will be very interesting. Let's head over to Carmeline and see what her key points are for the last game of the weekend.
Here back for the last game, as you guys said, and we need to start talking about the Revenant's comeback, which was kind of expected. We kind of hinted at that during the draft stage, but right now things could go either way. You know, like neither team has been showing dominance. Control was in the first one, Revenant was in the second one, but who will take the last one? You don't really know, because the next thing we need to talk about is actually Control's draft issues. Like the draft was not the best, synergies between the champions were not really clicking, and once we got in the game, it was clear that there was something going on. Will they be able to fix it in this one game? We'll be able to see if that actually happens. Well, we don't know yet, but what we do know is that Corky is probably one of the main picks, one of the prior picks that has been chosen all throughout the series. So whether he gets chosen or not in this one game, it is still left up in the air. We don't know until we're to the pick and ban stage. But what we can say is that he's been given a lot of importance in the last game. So let's see if it can happen again. For now, that's been it for me. Back to the casters, rest and Stewart.
I'm bored of Corky. I'm just going to put it out there. I want to see another pick in the bottom lane, and I don't want it to be Ziggs either. Give us something spicy. Give us something different. We saw Tristana yesterday. I was kind of happy to see some Tristana. I want to see some Jinx. That'd be good. And yeah, just something interesting would be great. Stuart, heading towards the last draft. I think Olaf is probably going to find himself on the ban list this time around. He's been banned in a lot of games this weekend. We've also seen the Lulu banned out in exchange in our first series of the day. I think we're probably going to see part of that combination taken away here from Control side of things.
I think it's really interesting because the last game we saw the bans on not really these high priority power picks. It was more like these like semi power picks, which left a lot of stuff open. I wouldn't be surprised if Revenant go for like the same idea again, banning out the Thresh, banning out the Recalm, because Komoto didn't look that strong on the Nami compared to compared to the Thresh. He wasn't able to make the plays on that Thresh and on the Nami, sorry, that you could normally do on Thresh and Recalm. So it's going to be the Olaf being banned out by Control that is going to go not going to go over to the hands of Revenant this time. And will this be a Camille ban as well? Because I think Camille was such a huge factor as well.
I think so too. Control banning out the Olaf. Ziggs gone from Revenant's side of things. They've maintained the 2 support bans as well. Totally agree with you on the Nami. I think there were some bubbles that landed, but overall lower impact from Komoto. Varus also saw a ban in the last game, but Control are going to ban out the Xin Shao. All focused on the jungle. Will it be the Varus for Baigay here, or will they just opt into the Corky? Camille, of course, being the first pick, as we've seen a lot of priority here. Control may want to break up the Galio synergy and take it for themselves. There it is. Komoto's look pretty good on that, but obviously the changes may very well mean Kagu takes that to the mid lane. Corky picked up again. I'm not particularly happy, but it's on Control side this time again.
Yeah, it's going to be on the side of Josh again. So it might be, the duo lane kind of priority really for Control, picking up the Galio, picking up the Corky. Varus is still available though, so Varus can go in the hands of Baigay. But I think when you've already picked Jax, you've already picked Camille, you're probably going to have to maybe pick Dinah here if you want to play that Varus in the duo lane, or maybe an Orianna or someone. But yeah, they already have 2 really strong champions. Yeah, Gragas is also still up and available, and actually going to be Nami priority for May, interesting enough. So
disengaged support, so allows them, if they want to play side lane purely with Camille and Jax, that allows them that option for Revenant in this game. It's very, very different to the composition they just won with last game, though.
Yeah, there is quite a few picks still left open. Varus, Gragas, as you said as well, is still left open. Might go through the complete first phase, as we say, that is going to be picked up by Kagu. So probably going to be Kagu on the mid lane. Gragas again, most likely will be Galio in the support role for Komoto, and it will be starting to ban out these other AP champions, because when you have Camille and Jax already in your lineup, you need a little bit of AP damage. So Morgana, maybe Diana as well being banned away. Could be Orianna as well. We'll have to see what the last ban is for Control.
And Revenant kind of realizing that Control are going very similar composition-wise to the last game, batting at the Darius. I think it would have worked a little bit better in this composition. There's a lot less team fight on the side of Revenant. Yasuo banned out once again from Kagu, or potentially from Clamaris. As Clamaris, we've seen him play the Wukong. Graves is available if they want it. I don't know that it was the best pick for Ryder Zito, but this composition has a little bit more option to fight against what Revenant are bringing than the previous game.
Yeah, they have a little bit more team fight presence. They kind of have the anti-synergy of like the Gragas and the Galio, and they're just going for more team fight. They go for the Wukong again up in that Baron lane for Clamaris. It worked well in the first game, and to be fair, it ain't broke. You don't need to fix it. So Clamaris is going to go and take that Wukong back into the Baron lane, and now it's Revenant that are going to look to try and close out their comp now. They got their dual laner and potentially their mid laner left to pick up. With Varus being banned away as well, we might be seeing like an AP champion, maybe Orianna down in the dual lane. Could go back to that Kai'Sa as well if they do want to pick up Diana. It is going to be the Orianna. Can be flexed to middle dual lane, but we will be able to see where the Orianna is going to go with this final pick.
Yeah, and there's so many flexes still on Control side of things that like Galio and Gragas could both be support. Wukong could be jungle, could be top. There's a lot of difference. Do you know what I was about to say? I wonder whether they'll go a range matchup like Akshan, and I didn't say it because I was like, probably not going to happen. But we've seen Akshan this week. I think it might even be 0-2 that played it. They had a really good game when Akshan was played. Now Control basically need to take a ranged matchup, whether it be Ari or something like that, and then move all the other pieces around, because I feel like playing Gragas or Galio into that is not optimal.
Yeah, it's not that hard at all. They're going to finish it off with Irelia. So Irelia mid, Wukong top, Gragas jungle is what I could predict with this, to be fair. Or maybe it could be Wukong mid potentially as well. But yeah, that's a lot of mini champions. That's just kind of free reign really for Akshan. Yeah,
Irelia into Akshan doesn't feel like a particularly good matchup. I mean, I'd love to like pick the Don's brain about this a little bit, because Irelia matchups we don't see too often, but she struggles until she can jump on you and kill you. I just wonder how she's going to jump on Akshan, who has pretty high mobility and has the ability to get away as well, but obviously has like some stealth built into his kit, that kind of thing. So yeah, interesting one. We'll see how Kagu can actually play it out and where this composition goes, but it will give them a little bit of side lane. I think Revenant have so much on the side lane though that it's going to be difficult to break. Like Camille and Jax, known for being two of the best side lane champions in the game.
Yeah, for sure. They're going to be able to get that side lane pressure, and it's going to be hard as well. But I mean, also Control kind of had like the side lane as well, you know, with the Irelia in there. We'll struggle a little bit in that mid lane, to be fair, against the Akshan. If it is going to be mid lane Irelia, we're most likely to see Clamaris back on the Wukong in the Baron lane. Could honestly be Irelia jungle as well. We've seen it, I think, once or twice in the WREC, not too much. It's a lot more popular in Asia regions. But yeah, this is a really interesting drafts to close out this series. And again, I don't know how to predict it, to be fair to you. It's going to be so close. I think it's really kind of dependent on this early game. I think if Control can win out in this early game like they did do in game number 1, we can see that they're able to close out games a lot easier. But yeah, we'll Wukong Baron lane, Control Gragas in the jungle, and then Irelia mid against Akshan. But like you said, Irelia likes to jump on champions, but with Akshan, you have the shields, you have the extra mobility from the auto attacks, you have that swing shot as well. I think it's called heroic swing or heroic shot or something like that. And yeah, going to find it a little bit difficult as Komoto's in the Baron lane already. Yeah,
they're going to wait out the shield, force the flash. Akagi immediately flashes, pretty much exactly how to avoid that, as Clamaris now has quite a lane presence against Akagi.
Yeah, it's the flash is being burnt, but I honestly don't think that Clamaris is going to have a lot of kill pressure with Wukong, because you don't really go for like this damage Wukong build that used to be a thing with like Trinity Force, Black Cleaver. Now it's more of like a tank Wukong, so I don't think Akagi will have a lot of struggles really without the flashes. They're going to go in.
Found Mei level 1 still. They put a lot of damage down and forced the first blood goes to Komoto. That experience advantage really punishing in the bottom lane.
Yeah, and again, it's Control winning out in the Dura lane. We've seen it before. We're going to see it again here. And I want Control to play around this Dura lane more, because I feel like this is where Control can really shine. I think Jash and Komoto played really, really well in this series. And if they carry on playing around this Dura lane, and if they can get Jash ahead on this Corki can do a lot of damage. But instead, they're going to go for the mid lane priority. Both Scuttle Crabs are still up and available. So it's going to be interesting to see what they're going to prioritize. It looks like they're just going to split the map at the moment. They're just going to be able to take each of the Scuttle Crabs away. As you can see, 3 players on the side of Control just making sure they secure that Scuttle Crab.
And I mean, Komoto's had such a big impact in this game already. Burned a flash top lane, got a kill bot lane. Like, we're already 2 minutes into the game. Like, this is Galio. We've seen him have really good games on it before. So it's starting as Controller, hoping to continue as Kagu just dashing around. It looks really fancy, but doesn't actually get a lot done yet. Like, Irelia players are there just dashing around, and all they're doing is farming.
Yeah, they're not going to be able to do too much so far in the early game. And don't have the items or anything just yet, unfortunately. Interesting enough, it looks like Josh might be going for a different Corki build this time, maybe going for the Essence Reaver, but it's a man immune component as well, so might just be building that for a little bit of combat stats, because I think when you have that early game lead with Corki, you can look to accelerate that gold lead quite effectively, to be fair, because you can do a lot of damage early on, even though they don't have... It's not the biggest of goal leads between both the Dragon Lane carries, because Komoto did pick up that first blood. Nothing's really going to happen in the barrel lane, I don't think. I think Akage and Kalamaris both going for Grasping and Dying. Both just wants to farm up, just want to scale as much as they can into the mid and late game. But this is where 0-2 can try and take an advantage with the stealth.
Akage has a significant lead already, though, as we're going bottom lane for another exchange, and Baige forced to flash his way out, doesn't really opt for that fight afterwards. Had the shockwave, though, 2 people over the ball who didn't want to go for it, and that top lane advantage, it's going to get neutralized by the fact that Akage just backed away, but when Clamara's recalls, the same thing's going to happen, right? And this is a little bit about, there's a sub coming in for control, and Akage really abusing that in the top lane and making sure they emphasize the strength of this Camille.
I think Akage was one of the shining lights really for Revenant yesterday. I think he played really, really well against, I believe it was they against Viv yesterday?
Komoto's going to get a double taunt. Baige overextending with that shockwave. He was trying to clear the minions out and back away, but that's pretty unforgivable when you've just had an exchange where you burn both your summoners, you step forward, shockwave minions intentionally, and then you know that there's a Galio around. Arrogance forced to flash. That's just, I don't know what is happening in bottom lane for Revenant in this game.
Yeah, they're honestly just falling apart. It hasn't just been this game. I think it's been a whole series, really, that Control are able to get advantages in that Dura lane, and it's showing up again. Komoto going for the early Righteous Glory, so he can just run forward. He can easily just catch out Mei or Baige, who both don't have flashes. Kamaris
goes in.
Package
as well. Who's getting it? The Rift Herald has been fallen at the beginning of this fight, as it's Camille that drops 0-2, now getting chased, and it was stolen away by Clamara's off that Cyclone. Double kill for Josh, and you have to feel like this is the beginning that Control were hoping for. They're going to hopefully, I imagine, throw it down in middle lane. They just need a little more damage on that tower. Just a couple more autos. More. You need more Control. It's going to happen. They will push it in with the minions. Shockwave comes through, so they're going to get punished for it, but there's the Rift Herald charge. Gets first turret. Control. It's already a 4,000 gold lead in this game.
I feel like was Arrogance bot lane that entire time trying to steal Dragon. I feel like Revenant were just so split up. And yeah, look, Arrogance was on the bot side of the map, and Revenant for some reason just got a complete split up. They just 50-50 the Herald kind of for no reason, to be honest with you. They started off the Rift Herald with no smite. There was no smite for Control, so it's just a 50-50 situation. It's Kamaris in the end that gets the Rift Herald. They lose mid lane tower. They also lose a Dragon as well. So even though Arrogance was in the Dura lane trying to take away the Dragon, they weren't able to get it. So it's a complete disaster start really for Revenant.
Yeah, whereas for Josh, he's 3-0-1 on this Corki, like 1,500 gold up on basically, or 1,300 gold up on the next best, like highest gold player from Revenant's side of things. So really far ahead on this Corki. Josh was a very strong part of Control in the last game on this Corki as well. He was like 9-1 at one point, and it was only really in the last 2 fights that was under a lot of threats. So we've seen him be able to output a lot of damage on this Corki. not opting for the Leandries that we saw out of Team Dark earlier. Now Control are going to play the side lane. Game 1, they played this out very well. Kagu is going to get jumped on. Shockwave is only going to hit Komoto, and Komoto is going to be able to split up a lot of the pack. Josh is going to get caught by some of the comeuppance, but Komoto is able to back away from this too, and Control are advancing their lead once again.
Yeah, and Colmaris this whole time is able to push in the Baron lane as well, and he can try and take this tower up in a Baron lane. I don't think he'll have enough damage to get this straight away, but again, another win for Control. They were able to get the kill and get a little bit of an advantage down in the Dura lane, and I mentioned this already. I feel like Control, if they do have that early game goal lead, they're able to play this out. And the Ignites down from Akage, Clamaris could be dead here. No,
yeah, Raiders is there, and Clamaris didn't even commit to utilizing either of his summoner spells, so utilizing just that Divine Sundra to keep him alive. And now Akage might be caught as he's going to get cycloned on place, and Akage hook shots out. That's a Camille. You always think Camille's caught and she'll just get away, because why not? Over the wall goes Josh. He's in overextension as we're looking towards the bot lane play, as Josh does pick up the kill on a rampage now. That's the turret falling, and Control. This feels like game 1 a whole lot more than it feels like game 2.
Control have the goal lead. Control are able to play the map the way they want to, and you can see if they can play the map, if they know what they want to do, they'll be able to do it with ease. 2 towers to 0, a dragon over, and already we're looking at, you know, off at 8,000, 7,000 gold lead for Control at the moment. And oh no,
there was a ward. Arrogance is going to get the counter-strike to lock, but Komoto is here to save Kagu anyway, and that tower is such a low health that with Raiders Zito coming down, they might just opt for this. 25 seconds on the objectives. That cask is exactly what they needed. Arrogance gets blasted down. The minions push through. Corki can back for the package if they want it, but double objectives coming up and they won't even opt for it. That's leaving a little bit of strength on the table, but this was Josh picking up the Camille to start this off.
Yeah, the healing from Divine Sundra helped out a little bit, really, for Akage, but unfortunately wasn't enough for Akage to be able to escape. And Josh 4-0-2 on this Corki. As you said, you know, had a pretty good performance last game as well, but his team wasn't able to help him out as much. And like I said, I want them to play around this Dura lane and around Josh more, because I feel like that's kind of where the strong point of Control are this game. And now they have the early game leads.
I was a little worried that Control were going to try and commit to the Rift Herald here at the same time as committing for Dragon. Package over the wall as Josh is going to rip through Baige. In comes Komoto, is going to split the pack from Revenant, and Revenant are just falling to pieces in this team fight. They haven't been able to get anybody really even under half health, and Arrogance gets damage down onto Komoto, but it is not enough. The Rift Herald did go down in that fight as Raiders Zito is going to be able to smite down the Dragon. Explosive Cask did not buy enough space. Akage doesn't get the damage down for the kill either, despite the Ignite running, and Raiders Zito manages to body slam his way over the wall to safety as Josh is going to run down 0-2 in the middle lane. He can't swing his way out of that one. The auto attack is going to follow him, and Josh is dominating.
11 kills to 0, 10,000 gold lead. And like you said, Stress, this is like game 1 all over again. And like I said before the draft as well, I feel like if Control have that early game goal lead, they know how to close out games really, really well. And this is back in the Rift Herald fight. You see Arrogance just tried as fast as he could to try and take out the Rift Herald, but once he was taking out Rift Herald, the rest of his team had just completely fallen apart. 0-2 was able to escape with the recall, but yeah, 1 versus 4. Jax is pretty strong at the moment, but not that strong. He can't win in a 1 versus 4 situation. And again, they take the Dragon as well down in the Dura lane. 0-2. Not 0-2, sorry. Arrogance does have the Rift Herald, but to be honest, I don't think they're even going to get close to towers to even make use of it.
I don't think so either. It's rare that you'd have a perfect game. I don't think this game would have ended a perfect game anyway, but that Rift Herald, of course, does disrupt that. That's one objective, but 0 kills, 0 towers. Unlikely to stay that way. I think Revenant probably will get 1 opportunity at a fight, but the lead that Control have right now is 1k gold a minute in this game, which is significant. There's only 10 minutes in, 10k gold lead as they're looking for another tower. Akage has found Kagu, but I think it's Kagu that's actually found Akagi, and in goes Aurelia. There's the fancy footwork, gets dodged out for a moment by the Hextech ultimatum, but that's a kill onto Camille, and Control continue to just advance this lead further and further.
Yeah, the sideways advantage again for Control. And you can see they're just playing the map so well. They're pushing all three of the sideways. Ryder Zito's just roaming around the map. They're playing this 1-3-1 playstyle so effectively. They're able to get this Baron lane tower as well. You can see Zero2's trying so hard. He's auto-attacking the whole time, but he's just doing no damage. But Revenant just can't even move out of their whole base, and this is a great way of showing. I feel like last game was a bad way of showing how to get a gold lead for Revenant, but Control showing pretty much a perfect way of how to utilize a gold lead, pushing the sideways, playing this 1-3-1 composition where you can use the Wukong, you can use the Akali to push the sideways. You have 3 players in the mid lane as well, pushing that mid wave. You can see now 5 towers to 0. This is over a 1,000 gold a minute now for Control, and honestly, a flawless performance so far, and that's a cast a curse if I've ever heard.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like a curse, but at the same time, it's so rare to not have a kill on the enemy team. So I'm sure there's going to be an opportunity around the Baron or around the Dragon, one of the two, as Control will likely overstep slightly, and one of the more squishy champions is probably going to fall. But I mean, if we didn't watch game 2 and you just went from game 1 to game 3, you'd be like, wow, Control is smashing them. Like, this is not even a close series. But Revenant looked good in game 2 in the early game and then in the late game. I think it's just a testament to, like, when Revenant, again, and I said this going into game 1, when they have a composition and they're playing it out, being the team that dictates the pace and chooses the fights to take, they are so much better than when it's Control that are actually dictating how this game gets played out. Because when Control are ahead, they are smothering Revenant out of the game.
Yeah, I feel like the draft difference was pretty huge as well in game number 2. As a Kage, he's just dead, isn't he? Is he?
Yep. Kamolto makes sure that the Kagu's Ignite finishes him off. It was a close one, but another kill goes over. 13th kill. Unlucky for some, but we'll see if it's lucky for Control, as they're trying to debate whether they want to go for Dragon, but it's not up yet. So they're going to push the wave out. Back off to the Dragon. Clamara is his top comeuppance. Basically just absorbed completely by Kamolto. Didn't even hit his health bar at all.
Just tickled him a little bit.
Yeah, we've seen that all kind of just half health people on its own, but now Josh doesn't even take damage as he just destroys me. Shockwave lands, but there's no damage follow-up. Control just stand there, absorb the shockwave, and take the Dragon.
Yeah, they just wanted to zone out Revenant in the end Control, and they were able to do that perfectly, really. And now they're going to look to try and go towards the Baron as well. But I think with all 5 members up of Revenant, you do not want to take this risk if you're Control, because we saw in game number 1, the smite was there for arrogance, and he was able to steal the Baron. So I don't think they're going to try and make the same mistake again.
I think you can bait though, right? Is with the Aurelia on the bottom side, you can push out bot lane, try and look for a kill, bait the Baron. You've got the Corki package as well. I mean, Corki package, you should only pick it up right now if you're actually going to commit to the fight. Otherwise, you just leave it on the table. Josh is going to pick it up, so either way, all they've got to do is play defensively around the Aurelia, not overextend, and then kind of play around the Baron, clear out vision, and look to set it up for themselves, because there's no real other objectives to play for right now if you're Control.
Yeah, like you said, I think the bait around Baron is going to be the play, and it looks like they are going to be clearing around vision as well. And look, Kagu's just going up and down the side wave. And to be fair, there's no one that can deal with Kagu at the moment. 3 items, 3, 0, and 3 on this Aurelia. And they can basically what they did in game number 1 is Arrogance is actually the one that's going to get caught.
Explosive cask, that opens up the Baron. No smite steal if there's no smite available, as Control are going to be able to cut their way through the river up to that Dragon. As you can see, Zero2's kind of waiting on the side lanes as Control. Oh, that's the 3-shot on me. Yep, flash forward for good measure. Josh is going to just blast Dynami out of the game. 0-2, probably 0 chance of this steal, unless something goes horrendously wrong for Control.
I'm waiting for it to go horribly wrong.
Yeah, I know, right? Josh is caught out with the stasis there, used as Baron down to about 1/3 of the health. They're going to lock down the Orianna once again. Baige falls. Another kill goes in favor of Control. 17 kills to 0 in favor of Control, and they're going to turn back towards that Baron. Oh, Josh is going to get the debuff, and now Josh may fall here.
Oh, no! Oh.
Galliol used to keep him alive for a moment.
The flawless game.
Yeah, the perfect game. Well, it can't be perfect because they did drop a Rift Herald, so it's not going to appear on the scoreboard, but it certainly, we all know it happened. We all saw it.
perfect game in terms of kills anyway, and I guess dragons and
that
also
doesn't
towers and
count.
everything. I mean, does Rift Herald really matter? I mean, to be fair, I don't even know what Rift Herald was even used for. Did it just expire
Did
in
it
the end?
charge?
Yeah, I don't know
Yeah,
actually. What actually happened to it? I was just thinking.
Wow, yeah, I didn't even see what happened.
I was just thinking, I was like, yeah, Arrogance did take the Rift Herald, right? Did it just get used in a lane and Control just were able to clear it out? We both probably just completely missed that. But I mean, it just shows how strong Control are in this game and how
We're
much
really
they're...
good casters, aren't we?
Yeah.
It's like one of the major objectives of the early game. Herald didn't charge. Production have got our backs. Okay, good. All
At least
right.
production are watching.
Somebody's got to know what they're talking about in this. Don't worry. Right, Control, 17 kills to 0 up. It's nearly 15,000 gold lead, and they've taken everything they want. They have the scaling 7, 0, and 7 on this Corki. Like, once the GA completes, I think Jash basically just like solo carries this game. Not that he isn't already, but I think it just becomes pretty much impossible to kill him and turn this around. Which means Control. I think if they look at just game 1 and game 3, they'll be like, we're really good right now. I think the draft just went away from them in game 2. They weren't really prepared for that Olaf composition.
I mean, to be fair, they did well to come back in game number 2.
That's true.
Even though they did have that early game deficit. The early game deficit was a little bit difficult, to be fair, because it was Ryder Zitto getting caught out, and it was just really, really good jungle pathing by Arrogance to get that early goal lead. But now look what's up. The Elder Infernal Dragon. And to be honest, Revenant might be able to get a kill, but I think it's going to be really, really hard for them to even get close to this Elder Dragon.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, it's package time already for Corki. The last one didn't really get used too much as Control. They have the vision on the dragon. They're going to peel off and actually go for the aggressive play on mid lane. They've caught out 0-2, who's going to get taunted in place. Surely that's a good shockwave, but the damage follow-up just isn't there. 5-man shockwave just absorbed completely by Control. And now they're going to look for the 5 versus 4. They're going to go right into the fight onto Arrogance, forcing back away. Jash forced to stasis. Doesn't have the Guardian Angel yet, I don't believe, as Kagu goes forward in the fight. Right as Zito's chasing onto Akagi. Jash is going to look to pick up the kill. The stasis once again. That Guardian Angel was actually completed by Jash, so he can play as aggressively as he wants. The tower, not going to be the target. They're just going to do this as composed as they can and take out the Elder Dragon, likely take out the Baron, and then look to close the game out.
They're doing so well at just baiting Revenant in and using their crowd control and using their engage from Clamaris, from the package as well, to just catch up members of Revenant off guard. And that's exactly what they're doing. Like you said, they're going to be able to take the Elder. They're probably going to go straight towards this Baron as well, take the Baron away, and that's another death.
Shockwave didn't even connect, didn't put it on cooldown, and Jash picks up the 21st kill of this game. This game is done, by the way, just in case anybody was looking for optimistic casting. Not going to happen on this one. 21 kills to 0, Elder plus Baron, Control. All they have to do is push now, and this game is over.
Just run it down mid. That's all you have to do. You have all 4 dragons. You have Elder Infernal. You have the Baron.
Goes to Revenant.
They got some towers. Okay, it's still near perfect game. I mean, I think you could still say that it was pretty much still a complete perfect game as Arrogance showing off his emotes, and even though it might seem weird that he's diamond, everyone's diamond now. Everyone's pretty much diamond now, unless you.
You salty.
unless you finish diamond, then you're emerald now because of the resets.
Are you one of the content creators that's tweeting about how your games are getting ruined? I'm seeing that. Legendary performance for Josh.
I did actually put a tweet out. I had a Blitzcrank mid that had Ghost and Smite, and his name was Ban Till Int.
And now you're making him famous. Yeah. You're making him famous at this point. It was Int till Ban, as that's a big shockwave. I was saying no optimism, but there is at least some team fight prowess, but it's not going to be enough. Control are going to eat through the base. They're going to be able to shred the health bars off, Baron buff the minions, and look to close this one out. 1 kill went on the board. Ryder Zitto, the feeder on this one, as Control 2-1 their way past Revenant and advance in the lower bracket.
Very, very strong first game and very, very strong third game as well. Again, showing that if Control get their early game lead, they know what to do and they close out the game pretty much perfect as well. A few towers, a Rift Herald, and 1 kill. it's not perfect, but I would still call it perfect by
Your
Control.
level of acceptance for perfection, we need to discuss this. You need to aim higher, Stuart. You need to aim only for perfection.
They got
Ryder
through.
Zito
That's
fed,
perfect.
okay? Ryder Zito was a big feeder.
Reported ×9 report after the game. Only death for Control in the end, but yeah, overall really well played by Control, and they were just able to again use the sideways to their advantage again, just rotating around the map as a unit. And again, Revenant were just on the back foot. You can see in the second game, and as you mentioned as well, if Revenant are on the front foot, if they have the team comm that allow them to be on the front foot, they could play really well. But when they're on the back foot, when they're trying to play it more reactive than proactive, they're just completely lost. They feel completely lost, and I feel that's kind of what happened during the series.
Yeah, and we see some good setups and plays from Control on the sidelines. I think they've looked quite good. What I would say to that is that the games against Formulation, where Formulation were playing actively as well, I think that's where Control were challenged. This one, I just don't feel like Revenant came and contested either other objectives or took particularly wise or well set up fights in this game, and Control just meant that they were just getting further and further ahead. And there's just this one point in the game where you can just hit them with the wallet again and again, and Control reached that point very early on and just took every single fight they could, because there's no real way of contesting for Revenant. Like, they kept taking 4 and 5 people shockwaves and it just did nothing.
Yeah, this is going to be a Ryder Zito's death in the end. We get to see the replay of the inting Ryder Zito. In the end, we'll have to hopefully we'll hear from someone from Control to see why he inted right at the end, because it could have been a perfect kill game. But yeah, it's going to be interesting now to see how Control, play out, with these roster swaps as well. With with Kamaris coming in as well. Honestly, Kamaris had a pretty decent series overall. He kind of fell a little bit behind in games number 1 and in game number 2 as well. Even this game, he did fall a little bit far behind, but he kind of did his job at the end of the day. Wukong is not known as really this lane bully, or not really a champion that's known to get ahead in the laning phase. But if you can get that little bit of tankiness with the Divine Sundra, with all the healing, or with the with the teamfight pressure and presence that he can get, then he can definitely come out on top. You can see in the end 4-0 and 7 on this Wukong, and wow, Jash's damage. I mean, Jash's damage in the previous game as well was pretty disgusting, and also this game as well. His damage is absurd.
Well, I'm pretty bored of Corki, but at least on that performance, like it's a strong Corki performance in general, like showing why the pick is still such high priority, and Kamalto showing why this Galio has been a big pick from them. I mean, the Rakana's banned, the Thresher's banned. That's about as clean as a game you're really ever going to see. I feel like Control probably could have ended it a little bit quicker, if I'm being very pedantic. I think against other teams, perhaps those first few fights there would have been more opportunities, but as soon as they were cresting that 10k gold at 10 minutes, basically game done. It's so hard to come back from a lead like that. That Control looking very strong, and a lot of that came from the support, who we're actually going to hear from now, is Kamalto with an interview with Carmeline.
Kamalto, welcome back. One of our favorite players and absolutely one of the best players in this series. How are you?
Hello, Carmeline. I'm actually doing great. I didn't shave myself, so I actually look like 10 years older, but it's fine. We won the game. And before we actually go to interview, I have one thing to say. Happy birthday, Stuart. You are actually old now. I have a poem for you. You actually know this poem, but I have to do it online as well. A million stars up in the sky. One shines brighter, I can't deny. A love so precious, a love so true. A love that comes from me to Stu. Happy birthday.
Oh my god. That's actually amazing. Okay, my birthday is next week. It's a lie, but just in case,
Yeah,
okay,
if you win, I'll do the same. It's fine.
Thank you, Kamalto. Now I understand why we love you so much, but we need to talk about this series because you won the first game, like really consistently, then lost the second one, then won the third one. I want to go straight to the spice of things. What happened in the second game?
The second game was actually kind of tough. like we made a lot of mistakes. That wasn't a clean game, not even nearly as good, I guess, as first and third game. Aphelion actually did come up with a good plan. They stomped us early game, and we kind of bounced back, and they bounced back, and the game was kind of close. I guess it was interesting to watch, but yeah, it was messy, definitely. I mean, good job for Aphelion for taking the game too. They did really well. But yeah, we came up the winners this time, and hopefully the next week as well.
Well, right now, instead of Aphelion, the Revenant, they've taken up their roster. I want to ask you. It's okay, of course, it's fine. But I want to ask you about next week, because you're going to face in either REC or Team Kezo, which might seem as scary for some, but I want to know how it feels for you guys. How are you feeling about it?
I mean, obviously Team Kezo and REC are one of the best teams, but we'll do our best to actually beat them. I think we're improving, and we'll improve as much as we can to beat both of these teams, no matter if REC is or Kezo in the loser bracket.
Okay, so there you go, Kamulka. Thank you very much for the interview. Congratulations once again.
Yeah, thank you so much. Bye-bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye. Back to the casters.
The best birthday present. I don't know what you got for your birthday, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't better than that.
He's known for his poems. He does it all the time. He's also known for his singing and everything as well. So maybe he'll do some singing a bit later as well. But yeah, really nice to hear from Komoto. Looking 10 years older himself as well with the grown beard, like he said. But yeah, it just shows that Komoto is a great character, and it's so nice to see him on the broadcast. It's so nice seeing him perform really well as well, and they will be going into the next round of the lower brackets.
Yeah, they will indeed. So let's take a look at the play of the game from that third game. Likely again to be around some of Komoto's playmaking. Got him on the Galio after getting banned out, and really had that big impact.
Yeah, it really did have that huge impact. This was around the Rift Herald, where they were able to split up really. Revenant in a way. I was about to say Aphelion. thanks Komoto. I was about to say the wrong name, but yeah, Revenant was even though they got the Rift Herald in this situation, they weren't able to get the team fight because the Corki package is showing. I mean, even though we don't really want to see Corki that much, just shows there that Corki can still be really, really strong. Jash with a great performance. We've seen it, I think, every single game today, if I'm not mistaken.
I feel like we saw it every game.
Like the whole weekend, to be fair, we've seen Corki as well. But the cool thing about Corki is we've seen so many different builds. We've seen Essence Reaver Stormraiser, we've seen Manamune Stormraiser, we've seen Manamune Solari, we've even seen Black Cleaver as well with Leandries.
Don't talk about Leandries.
We've seen so many different builds for Corki, which is quite nice to see. But yeah, Corki just still showing up as still being one of the strongest dragon laners in the competition.
Corki proving forever that Europe can get memed for our builds. So let's go and look at our MVP of the game. We've just talked about the champion. Let's talk about the pilot, and that is Jash, who's going to be our MVP. Really strong series from him.
15-0 KDA, and Jash, I think we said this during the game as well. I think Jash and Komoto were just better than Revenant's bot lane in the end. Yep. They were able to get 2 versus 2 kills in lane phase. They were able to use that advantage as well in game 1 and game number 3 to just close out the victories. And Jash, a really, really strong performance on the Corki overall. We saw that he can come up with picks like Tristana, which didn't really work yesterday. When he's on that Corki, when he's dominating and when he's using that Valkyrie forward, he's able to clean up the rest of the team fight. So very, very well played, and congratulations again to Control.
And I mean, that's the thing, is like, even in game 2 where Control would ultimately lose, Jash was a huge part of that comeback. Like, he was at a point where with the team around him, they could very well have still won that game. So really big performance out of Jash. Carmeline is back joining us for the end of the show. Always fun. Now that we know that Komoto likes to sing, Carmeline, I'm feeling like there's a duet in your future at some point.
Please. I will love that. Please. Can we
You'll
make
have to
that
figure
part
out
of the
what
show?
song he wants to do.
Okay, I'll talk to him.
We'll get that on the books for a future episode. So that means the first round of the lower bracket has completed. And that means that, unfortunately, for Revenant and Clash Spain, they have exited the tournament. Carmeline, I know that it's a tough moment for you on Clash Spain going out, but what are your thoughts as we swap our attention to the upper bracket on our two matchups coming up? RIX versus Team Queso. I know that's an easy one for you to predict, right?
You can't ask me to use the stress. You can't.
Well,
I mean,
I'll tell you what, Snitch has earned my Team Queso prediction for that series, because last time I predicted Rix, it went completely badly, so they're not getting predicted anytime at all. It's Rix versus Team Queso taking place as our first game of next week, then Viv versus Formulation. Stuart, I think, considering both looked a little shaky, that's a harder series to call.
I think Viv versus Formulation is going to be a very, very interesting series. Like you said, both looking really, really shaky yesterday, and going into next week, you know, these teams will have a few days now to maybe practice a few more things on the new patch. So maybe we won't be seeing the same picks. We might be seeing a few more interesting picks. But I think out of the whole of this weekend from patch 3.1, I think Rix has definitely looks the strongest at the moment. I think they've adapted to the meta really, really well and came up with a few interesting picks themselves. But for the rest of the teams, it's back to the drawing board now, because it's not going to be too long until it's going to be the last chance for them to try and get to Barcelona.
I agree with that. Carmeline, I'm going to give you the last word on Viv versus Formulation. What do you think of that series?
Viv. For me,
Viv?
it's going to be Viv. Yeah.
I kind of agree with you. I'm a big fan of Formulation. I like how they play, but I think Viv in our open bracket playoffs looked so good. That is the end of week one of the last chance qualifier. I've been Stress, joined by Stuart on his birthday. Happy birthday once again. And Carmeline for the broadcast. We'll be back next week. Keep your eyes peeled on social for the exact schedule. We have a lot of games to play through. So we'll be back next week on this channel. Make sure you follow for a notification for when we go live. We will see you for the second round next week.